or was going to win. Like just never crossed my mind. The whole concept of it just blows me away.
Well, you can't win it again because now people expect you to be good. So now if there's an expectation, you can't win Coach of the Year when people think you'll be good, because there's no way you could actually have a great season of figuring some things out coaching if people already thought you were going to be good and then you're good. We know that to be the case, Jerome, today. But also, like, those individual accolades come with team success.
Yes.
I mean, if it wasn't for your team playing the way that they did, which is a big part of you and your staff and the players as well coming together in that unit when you're trying to take over a program that's got 2 returning players.
Yeah, we call it it's a team award. The players have to play well, and the staff, I got the best staff in America, and I'm just so fired up. We get to live life together again, another year, and part of I think building a program is being able to have continuity on the coaching staff. And so blessed that Gene and President Linton have given me the opportunity to keep the staff together, and so I'm fired up for this year.
Jerome Tang is our guest. What's the story with the glasses? You walk in with the sunglasses; those are good looking, man. That's a great look right there.
Yeah, these are the Coach Prime blenders, and I got to go to Colorado and visit with Coach Prime for a while, and he was gracious to give us an hour of his time and just talk about how he's building his program and. Roster management and staff and just the whole thing. He is the CEO of a major corporation there, because there's stuff happening within football and outside the football program to, the what he's done in Colorado right now and the way the people in that state have responded to him. And, he's impacting economics, and we feel like we can do the same thing in Kansas State. And I just wanted to learn from him a little bit and spend some time with his team around him and see what they do and see if there's some spots I'm missing that I'm not seeing that, we could be better at. Because we don't want to just be good. We want to be great. And to go from good to great, it's a fine line, right? You got to really hone in on some specific things to help elevate every aspect of the program. And so that's what we've been doing in the offseason.
And it's, that coaching fraternity. How much do you benefit from talking with other coaches, learning what they do? Because you've discussed some of those things before, but you go there and meet with, and that's a football coach, right? Yeah. But it's running a program. It's not just, hey, what's this 4-3 or these multi-positional linebackers that I can utilize as my center in my front court, right? But it's the program, the CEO, and talking with different coaches, whether that's trying to get some scheme or out of bound plays or just program overall. Like, you've talked about that before, but that benefit that comes in with that coaching fraternity, that I don't know that everybody's open to it, but certainly when they are, it's a great resource to use.
Yeah, no, thankful for guys like Coach Prime and when I was at Baylor, Matt Rule and, Dave Aranda and just those different coaches that you can learn so much from. And we do so much teaching. We got a lot of football concepts in our teaching, and just it's helped us. We learn from video, watching football games of how we can get better, and a lot of it is about kids always pay attention to the last play, not the plays that take place in the middle of the game that allowed that result to take place at the end, and good or bad.
Yeah.
West Virginia touchdown at the end of the game, 12 seconds. 15-yard penalty. Now the kickoff is 15 yards back. Now the return is 15 yards further. Now the next completion gets you across the 50-yard line. Now the quarterback has the arm to get it to the end zone. Everybody's mad at the DB who might have gave up the play, but it was the 15-yard penalty. So just all the teaching things that we can learn from football. I love college football, and so I learn a lot from it.
Last year when we talked to you here, there was, questions around the program, what it was going to look like, and you were obviously uber confident. And I remember you telling a story that somebody giving you advice or about, don't be too successful too early, and how you couldn't understand that viewpoint, and you clearly did not heed that advice of being too successful too early. When the season's over and everything sort of calms down, and I know it's a 24/7 job with recruiting and everything, but do you get a chance to sit back and reflect and sort of take in what you and your staff and the team accomplished in year one?
We tried not to wait till the season was over.
Okay.
We tried to celebrate every victory along the way. I just think too many times we miss out on enjoying what's going on, the blessings that God's given us, and the opportunity to live life together, and the small successes, man. And we celebrated, but when the season was over, we sat back and I heard a pastor say this the other day, that a small vision is an insult to a big God. And I felt like my vision was too small last year, and so never want to do that again with our team and our program. And so we've got big goals this year, and we're going to shoot for the stars and land on the moon, that kind of thing. And but I like the group that we put together. I'm thankful we got our staff together and a little more synergy, and I feel like we're on the same page. And now it's about getting those guys on the same page, and I think we've got all the pieces that we put together. We could make a run in the NCAA tournament, get to Phoenix. Our goal is to get to Phoenix and have a chance to win a national championship.
The goal was a little too focused as opposed to being elaborate a little bit. Like the focus last year versus now your mindset.
Yeah, I thought last year, man, we can get to the NCAA tournament, and once we're in there, it's like you look back and man, we could have played for a national championship, right? Yes. And we're that close, 4 minutes away, or they out rebounded us 44-22. We had one too many turnovers, whatever it was, but we were right there. But maybe if we had a bigger vision, we'd have been a little bit more focused, not just thinking about getting to the tournament. And so, we practiced a White House dinner. Like most people practice cutting the nets. And I was like, no, you know what? They only bring the winning at 4-letter tournament, the NCAA tournament, to the White House. So we're going to practice the White House dinner.
What'd you have?
Everybody had I had steak. Everybody else had different stuff.
They got to choose their.
Yeah, they got to choose one of three
nice.
things. And but just the whole white tablecloth, the right silverware, all of that. But that's the thing. I don't want to underestimate what we can do, and just big dreams.
Man. Yeah. Jerome Tang is our guest. One of the things that I love getting a chance to talk to you, and one of the reasons why, is because of how thoughtful and sincere you are. You guys took the trip to Israel, and I'm just wondering, sort of behind the scenes, like what that's been like for your team with what's going on the last week and the events taking place. That I have to imagine that your guys feel like it's more emotional, or there's a connection now. Because you were just there less than 2 months ago for, a couple of weeks there playing basketball and touring and seeing some of these things.
Yeah, now it's not just something you're seeing on the news, right? It's places you've walked and people you've talked to. And I tell you what, when I was there, our security guys, whenever they talked about the struggles, right, they never referred to Palestinians. And they never referred to the Lebanese people. It wasn't the people. It was small sects within, like the Hamas or the, whoever it was that small sect. And even when we went to Palestine, to Bethlehem, and we had dinner at our host house, and they were Palestinian Arab Christians, and they never referred to the Israeli people. It was just a sect. There are some, and there's some extremists in each culture that want things a certain way, and then you have what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And so my heart goes out to the innocent Israelis, the innocent Palestinians who are having to face this, and all they want is peace. Mm-hmm. All they want to do is live life, and so it's tough to see it.
How much of the foreign trips are? We get a little basketball, we get some practice time, we get the games, and how much are they growing as individuals and well-rounded and cultural? And it's not, pictures on a TV in the, background. It's, hey, I know that place, or I've seen that when you're more sort of well-traveled. How much of those foreign trips, I don't know if there's a percentage, but basketball, you get something out of that. You see what some players can do. But also, like, this is a team, and these individuals, part of college, is sort of growing individually.
Well, early on at Baylor when we did foreign tours, it was let's go where it's easy to get there. It's about the practice. It's about go play 4 games and get back quickly. Mm-hmm. And our last trip at Baylor, we went to Italy, and for 10 days and did the whole thing, the tours, the Coliseum. We saw where Paul was in prison. I mean, the different basilicas, the Vatican. I mean, it was wonderful. And I remember Scott looked at me and said, "Tank, we've been messing up all these years." Right, and so having the opportunity to do my own foreign tour, I wanted to make sure it was something special. And when the opportunity to go to Israel and Abu Dhabi came about, those were bucket list things for me.
Wow.
And to go to the birthplace of the three religions and to see people live together there, and then experience not just where Jesus walked, but the culture of it, right? And when they sit to meals, I mean, it's actual breaking bread. Right, the plate is being passed. You can't be on your phone. Up here, we go get one plate. We put everything on one plate. We sit down. We can lock in. We can look at our phone. Right there, they're passing the bowl. You're having to scoop some out. You're breaking the bread and pass. Yeah. So it is a festive thing that you have to be engaged. And to see our guys have those kind of meals and see them be engaged, it builds so much chemistry, and there's so many memories they're going to have for the rest of their lives.
Jerome Tang is our guest. I want to talk about your team as you get set for year number 2. You've talked about Tyler Perry a couple of times, and I'm assuming he'll play a lot of different roles for you. I'm also assuming that you've heard that joke about 60 times now, and he's probably heard the joke 60 times about Tyler Perry playing different roles with the same name. But how do you national championship? What's the challenge this year with some of the newcomers with the success you had last year?
Well, in recruiting, we didn't try to have guys, hey, come be this guy.
Yeah.
I want Tyler to be Tyler. I want Arthur to be Arthur. You want Quez to be Quez. And we knew what we wanted. We wanted to get some experience in the backcourt, 90-plus games under their belt. We were able to do that. We got 2 guards that have that. We wanted wings, that have NBA potential, that can run and jump and handle, be versatile. And with Arthur and Quan, we have that. We wanted a big who can we wanted multiple bigs, but I wanted someone who could guard the other team's guy who was 7 feet tall, 260 pounds, and we got that in Will McNair. But then we also have David coming back, who, he's going to be hard to guard if he's playing the 5 spot. If he's playing the 4, he's skilled enough to do that. We can move him around. And Cam Carter has gone from a role player to a weapon.
Yeah.
So it's fun to watch. Our 3 freshmen are talented, and I expect Jarrell Culver to take a step up, and and Will McNair being there has helped him, to step his game up, and so everything moves everything, and so we're excited. I'm really excited. What I love about this team is that every kid on our team, except for one, has played in the NCAA tournament, and the only one that hasn't is Tyler Perry, and he won 2 conference championships. He won an NIT championship, was MVP of the NIT. So he is really hungry to get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, thinking of it, it's like, one of the best shooters, scorers in America is the guy that, hasn't played in the NCAA tournament yet.
Yeah.
And that tapping into that hunger, right? Because that was a big part of last year, right? Was the hunger for your team to believe and buy in and go, no, we can do this, but we got to grind, we got to fight, we got to go through it to be able to do that, because you're hungry and humble, and to at least have somebody that's that talented to have that hunger and drive of, this is my last chance. There's no messing around. This is my last chance to get and play in the dance.
Yes. Yeah. And we can hold them accountable to that every day. So.
Jerome Tang is our guest, the Naismith Coach of the Year, and K-State, and now bigger dreams to win a national championship there in Manhattan. And look, college basketball, all things are possible in college basketball. We saw that last year, and certainly from a year ago sitting here to go into Elite 8 and brand new contract, which, by the way, congratulations on that. Coach of the Year to the drum at Arrowhead and hanging out with Taylor Swift. I'm assuming you guys met and hung out the whole time. You were in the background. I get it. You didn't want to be front and center with Swift, but you were there. She was in attendance, too. Not a big deal for Jerome Tang, right? Is that the most most jealous people have been? Is like, oh, man, Taylor Swift.
I saw someone, they made a joke about that dads and daughters get to spend time together now, watch football games.
That's exactly right. My daughter, she's 4, but she's all about Taylor. It's all she listens to is Taylor Swift. So anytime she's Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. It's great. Jerome Tang, Jerome, I really appreciate the time. Best of luck, continued success. It's been a blast watching your team play, watching you coach, talking with you as well. So well-deserved success, well-deserved new contract, and continued success, and best of luck this year.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There's Jerome Tang, head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We will talk with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, coming up at 11 o'clock. Have our Wednesday conversation with Cynthia. And then later on in the 11 o'clock hour, we will hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see which players will be at the podium with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Not with them, but sort of with them, but not at the same time with them. Sort of that sort of thing. You get what I mean, Josh? Like they're not going to be up there together. Like it's not.
No,
gonna be a group
I'm
press
deeply
conference,
unclear on the concept. If you could just try
Okay.
one more time to explain it, I'm really trying to listen this time.
So like it's a group of them together.
Yeah, all talking at once.
But they go like one by one.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I know. This text says, Josh, you have to cut that. Jason just struggling after that Tyler Perry joke, desperately waiting for Jerome Tang's reaction.
Texter is correct. Do you want to know my note on that joke? It's going to shock you.
No.
It's honestly going to
What?
shock you.
What?
I think it was too subtle. You said
really?
you want Tyler Perry to play multiple roles in a way that was so basketball matter of fact that it
Yeah.
didn't register for me or Dylan until a few seconds after it landed.
Yeah, it said Tyler Perry. I'm assuming he'll play a lot of different roles for you.
It's a great line,
Yeah.
but again, I hate to say this, maybe too subtle, which is never,
Sorry.
that's how, no one's ever
yeah.
said that about this show.
No, not at all. Like, hey guys, how about ramping it up a little bit? The subtlety is a little much to be able to get. Okay, it's going right over our heads, and it took him a little bit. But then when he got it, he actually started laughing and dropped his head and was like a legitimate laugh and was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, look, here's the thing.
delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com. She's done the research.
I measured the big boys' booties for like 2 years.
She's analyzed the data.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce has done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We are hanging out here at T-Mobile Center. It is the Big 12 Media Days. Basketball going on today, and thank you to Jerome Tang, head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, joining us in the previous hour. We'll talk with Bill Self coming up around 1 o'clock or so. The Kansas head coach, the number one AP-ranked preseason team in America. Let's talk some NFL football with Cynthia Freeland, analytics expert from the NFL Network, joining us here in the zone. Cynthia, how are you?
Hello. I'm great, thank you. I can't believe we're week 7 already. Sheesh.
It's unbelievable. We are exactly a third of the way through the season, Cynthia. How?
I have no idea, but it's like in
Wait,
1 minute we'll blink and it will be Super Bowl time.
That's what I said to somebody in, it was late August, early September, and I'm like, I'm about to blink, and I'm going to be in Vegas for the Super Bowl. Because we're going to Vegas, we go to the Super Bowl regardless, but it's like I'm going to blink, wake up, and it's going to be mid-February, and I'm like, what the heck happened? And then we're going to be counting down the days and the hours until we start another football season, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this has been an interesting one so far. I mean, from things we thought before the season to now, I mean, this is a Chiefs team. Let's start here just about what happened against the Denver Broncos, and then we'll look into the Chargers and things like that, and then some other things that are going on in the league. But they beat the Denver Broncos. They win 19-8, and it was a very underwhelming, unsatisfying win for Chiefs fans. I gave the analogy, Cynthia, that it's, once a week you get to watch the Chiefs play. And sometimes, bye week you don't even get to do that. But, 17, hopefully 20/21 if they have to play in the first, round, that you get to watch the Chiefs play in the over the entire year. And you wait for it, you get excited. And I said, it was sort of like you're ready and excited to go to this restaurant, and you've been talking about it, and you get there, and then you're like, the steak actually wasn't that good. I was very excited. Like, I still ate here, right? It was still a nice, enjoyable meal. The Chiefs still won. I still got to watch them play, but it was just kind of unsatisfying, underwhelming. But they won. What do you make of what we're seeing with this Chiefs team that is still the number one seed in the AFC and incredibly good defense, the best start to a season in 6 weeks for the Chiefs since 1961 defensively, or 71, I can't remember the stat, but it's been a while in terms of points. But what do you make of what we're seeing from this Chiefs team? That they're winning, but there is some underwhelming feel at times.
Well, the interesting part for me is talk about underwhelming. When I close my eyes and think about Patrick Mahomes, I think about deep shots, amazing plays, arm angles, like just craziness, right? But then I look at this stat, and as of right now, Patrick Mahomes on 10-plus air yard passes, so passes that are considered downfield passes, he has a 62 passer rating when he targets wide receivers on such passes. So that is not normally what we see. It's not all his fault. I'm not suggesting that in any way, but it's just interesting that it's taken so long for kind of we're so used to it, and we're very spoiled being able to see Patrick just like crush those downfield passes. However, perhaps the Chargers are a get-right situation for that, but we did not see that against the Broncos.
Is that the difference you see then is, stretching that field or how successful that is, whether it's a little Patrick Mahomes, whether it's the wide receivers and the continuity that may or may not be there right now, the defense is the way they're playing the Chiefs. Like, is that one of the main differences you're seeing from the Chiefs this year in the scoring being down and the lowest total points through 6 weeks in the Patrick Mahomes era that we've seen, as opposed to other years?
it's one of the bigger ones. The other thing is actually a positive note. Sounds kind of crazy, but Isaiah Pacheco, if you look at what he's done, like especially to the eye, it doesn't look as like exciting, right? But it's actually like a better predictor of like just wins versus losses, right? So, I mean, it could be it's kind of a combination of both. And also, we're just so used to seeing Travis Kelce being full Travis Kelce, and I don't think we've really seen. There's been moments, but I think injuries have made things just like a little bit different. And there's always some weird like thing mentally that happens to all of us when you see Patrick and Travis Kelce together. Like, oh, some magic's going to happen, even if it's not to Kelce or et cetera. But we just haven't seen the usual magic makers doing the things that we're accustomed to them doing.
Yeah, and even last week when it was like, hey, Travis had his best game of the season in 9 catches, 124 yards. I don't know that he caught one after the middle of the third quarter. Like,
right.
I mean, it just
right.
it was like it was different.
Right. We're used to thinking like, okay, well, at any moment Travis Kelce could explode for this touchdown, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's at least, it's kind of our own bias, right? Like our Chiefs bias. Yeah. We're thinking,
that's right.
We're going to see it every single time, but you know what? It's just, sometimes you just got to grind it out while you're working through injuries or every single team right now. I mean, with 6 teams on a bye, you can really notice it. There's so many teams that just, like, well, Anthony Richardson done for the season, and, Josh Allen was questionable. Like, everyone's banged up right now.
Visiting with us, Kelce had 2 catches, 20 yards in the second half of that game. He was unbelievable, 7 for 109 in the first half. All of the props for Kelce went over at halftime. If you had that, you were feeling good. Like, all right, I can just relax in the second half. But at halftime, if you played the live over, you lost because that did not hit for Travis Kelce. Cynthia Freeland is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. So the conversation that's going on is offenses in general. So we've had it specifically on the micro with the Chiefs, and the macro is that conversation that's going on around the league of offenses being down. And I looked at the average points per team per game this year being 21.7, last year 21.7. But the years before that was 24.3, 26.3, 23, 23.8. Like, these last 2 years have been different than what we've seen. And I went back to 2018 because that's when Mahomes came in the league. Is there a reason why, a theory, what are you seeing as to, why the scoring has been down around the league last year and certainly the first 6 weeks of this year?
I think that what we're seeing is the defense combination of two things, right? Like, the defense is getting better, and also we actually have like the average, if you talk about people who are charged with calling plays, so not necessarily who the offensive coordinators are, but the ones who are calling plays, it's one of the youngest we've had since the 80s. So it's a young play calling group, which probably means, maybe they're a little they don't have the same experience level when the defenses start to adapt. Maybe it takes them a game as opposed to a series in order to readapt what the offense is doing. So there's always this pendulum swing back and forth, but we also see younger, less experienced play callers. So that's another one as well.
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. I said yesterday on the show, Cynthia, that looking at those trends, I said I think Patrick Mahomes is the reason, and maybe it's red-colored glasses. That's fine, I don't care. But it's sort of the trend kind of goes along with Mahomes bursting onto the scene in 2018, and then going into that Super Bowl in 2020 where it was 26 points per game. And what the Bucs did in that game, while there were injuries that ravaged the offensive line for the Chiefs, but the Bucs we're going to pressure, we're going to drop back, we're going to make you do those things. In 2021, it felt like the first part of the season, towards the middle, it was like the Chiefs can't figure out the 2 deep, the cover 2, the shell defense. They can't figure it out, and it's just turned the
first to sort of usher in this new era of quarterback, and probably is the best we're going to be able to see in our whole lifetime. So, you actually are already seeing, like you saw it when in Patrick's 2018 season, 2019, you've seen it every year with Patrick. Teams copy what the Chiefs do, but 2 or 3 weeks later. And good defensive coordinators will be like, hey, we're not going to let this, so such and such team got burned using single high safety against Patrick Mahomes. We're going to at least try this two safety shell. It's all about does the copy works or not, right? Like, you actually saw it. It was really funny. The week after the Dolphins hung a 70-burger on the Broncos, you saw 4 or 5 teams that just snake plays that they had taken. You're like, hey, wasn't that the – yep, that was actually the Tyreek Hill. But, like, you know, it's just they thief it. And the hard part there is, well, now defenses, they also learn from those kind of copycat situations. So it's funny because I sometimes I don't like those like football things, like it's a game of inches, but they usually are true, even though they're like a little annoying. But yeah, so it is a copycat league for sure.
It's funny because we do a Learn Funniest Best on Mondays of like from the weekend, what we learned from the weekend, what was the funniest from the weekend, the best thing from the weekend. And I didn't use this as my learned. I used something else, but it was something I wrote down as like, okay, this could be my learned. And it was the teams using the motion we saw from the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, where Kadarius Toney went in motion. The Eagles were handing it off, and then he stops and goes the other way, and nobody's there. And then Sky Moore goes in motion. The Eagles are handing it off again, then he stops and goes the other way, and nobody's there. And twice this weekend alone, the Bills and Giants, Buffalo ran that same exact action that I can't remember who it was that came in motion. It might McKenzie, or I don't remember who it was, but came in motion and then got to almost Josh Allen, stopped, went the other way, wide open, touchdown. And then the Kentucky-Missouri game, Kentucky's down at the 12-yard line, or maybe it was inside of the 10, and they bring their receiver in motion. Missouri starting to hand it off. He stops, goes the other way, untouched, wide open. And I thought, wow, the Chiefs did that, and that was such a big deal, right? And all offseason people were even talking about it, certainly there. And clearly other teams have seen that. So now I wonder, okay, so how are teams going to have to adjust to that? Because you're not going to be able to just hand it off and not pay attention to that guy anymore because I've handed it off over there. Oh, wait, crap, now he's back in my area.
Exactly. I mean, look, like they'll come up with a solution. For, you know what I mean? Like, just give it a couple weeks, right? And also, the right personnel really matters. You know, the right personnel really matters. So some people can do that well, and some people, they don't have maybe that great off-ball linebacker that you would need to really pick up that motion. Or, like in the case of the Bills, you lose Matt Milano mid-game. That changes the way that you're able to defend the run when your whole plan was based on having that guy who's really versatile.
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, is our guest, and in that game it was Deontay Hardy was the play in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 3. They brought Hardy in motion, stopped, went the other way, and it was open. I'm like, I've seen that before. I recognize that particular play.
By the way, Hardy's smaller than me, and I'm not very tall. So it's amazing when he does. Like, I don't even know if the defense saw him, truly, because he could sneak behind. Their linemen are like 7 feet tall, like 6'8", whatever, big tackles. And like Deontay Hardy's like he's probably listed at 5'9", but I am 5'6", and I'm tall.
He's listed at 5'6".
He is.
So
okay,
if he's listed at 5'6", yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. He's listed at 5'6". He's 5'5" at best. Okay, we know that. Cynthia Freeland is our guest. I want to go back to something that you said earlier, talking about Isaiah Pacheco, because I wonder if this sort of ties in now, because the zig and the zag of what's the next phase? Okay, the cyclical of nature of sports. Is the next phase more of the power run, the inside the tackles? You mentioned that Pacheco, the inside runs, the last 3 weeks, the number you gave was he's got 110 yards after contact on those inside runs. So the Chiefs, I think, are a little more dedicated to doing that now, whereas beginning of the season, I think they handed the ball off twice in the second half against the Lions. Like, it was just pass. Is that the next phase, is to balance or go back after we're going to drop everybody and keep everything underneath? Okay, great. Then we're going to attack the light boxes with our inside runs.
Well, I mean, against the Chargers, that figures to be a good game plan because the Chargers have a real hard time stopping the run, especially on those inside runs. So, I mean, they have since Brandon Staley took over, so it's not like this new phenomenon. But I think at least until it doesn't work, that it works, if that makes sense, right? Like, one of the things that Andy Reid does really well is adjust, right? Like, we talk about Andy Reid coming off a bye when he has, like, even more time to adjust. But, like, Andy Reid mid-game will figure out different wrinkles and folds to exploit the right matchups. I just don't think – think about where the pressure comes from on this Chargers defense. It's really from both of their edge rushers with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack.
but it's not in the middle. They're really, deficient. They have some deficiencies there against the run in the middle.
Yeah, it's been an interesting strategy for Brandon Staley in that, and I get the thought process behind it. I get the theory behind it that the offenses and passing that's what's winning. So I'm going to build my defense to stop the pass, and I do need to limit the run. The problem with that philosophy, Cynthia, has been they've been terrible against the run. Being able to be built to stop the pass, you do have to make the other team get into passing situations from time to time. And they've been so bad against the run that it's hurt that aspect. But I get the theory and the philosophy behind I'm going to structure my personnel and my defense around limiting the opposing team's passing game.
Yep. I mean, the interesting part, I'm curious about this Chargers matchup because looking at, the Chiefs' performances, specifically those downfield 20-plus air yard passes, I mean, Patrick has completed at least one in every single game against the Chargers defense. Chargers defense right now is giving up all of the yards against opposing offenses through the air as well. And it's very weird because last season he actually had 2 20-plus air yard completions in each game last season. So I'm curious how they'll try to stop that, or if the Chiefs are going to be like, well, that's not really working for us, so we're going to do the thing that works. Are we going to go with our strengths, or are we going to target your weakness? And since 2 of their weaknesses are one is one that's working. We've seen Pacheco work really well in those inside runs. Great, got it. But are the Chiefs going to try to right the ship here with those downfield passes against that secondary? That it was weird to trade J.C. Jackson. I mean, the stories that came out. I'm not reporting these, but my colleagues reported that they told him to go in and he said no, and then the next week they shipped him out to New England. So it was just it's kind of weird when the guy that you paid all this money for and planned to be so great doesn't want to play, and so much so that you send him back to New England. I don't know. It was a little odd.
Yeah. Cynthia Freeland is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. You're there in L.A. What's the view of Justin Herbert as a player? I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. He can make every throw. But, after that game on Monday night, I know that, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys lead the discussion. So it's, what about Dak? Did Dak figure it out? And it's Justin got paid a lot of money, and he's made the playoffs one time, and they end up losing and blowing a big lead. I kind of feel like the conversation around the Chargers is, well, Justin Herbert's amazing. He just doesn't have a great coach, and Brandon Staley is holding him back. And now that it's Kellen Moore, and at times it's looked great, he and Kellen Moore, but what's the view of Justin Herbert? What quarterback is he? Is he a guy that it'll click and he'll figure it out and they'll win games and go to playoffs and win an MVP like he's that talented? Or is this sort of who he's going to be that, our afternoon show made the comparison and said, right now he's Jeff George. And that's I think that's a pretty decent comparison. Is he a guy that's just going to be Jeff George the rest of his career?
I think the overwhelming, the thing about LA as a sports town is it's nowhere near as passionate as other maybe smaller markets, but it feels to me like many of the Chargers faithful believe that perhaps a refresh at the coaching position would help out. Personally, I think that maybe I think Kellen Moore's doing a great job. They're figuring out how to get those deep plays in. The thing that they have to kind of remember, and especially in a game against the Chiefs, for example, is that kind of be who they are, right? Austin Eckler didn't play since week 1. This is his first week back. It didn't look normal. Justin Herbert passing to Austin Eckler has been kind of the key to their success, and the Chiefs defense has allowed the most receiving yards to the running back position since Steve Spagnuolo took over. So it's can they get back to doing some of the foundational things that get them to a spot where Justin Herbert isn't asked to make the decisions until he's ready to and can really see the defense? Because I'm still not sure, even after all this time, if they've installed an offense in the way where he understands all of the different. And I'm not. This is not a knock on him. This is more of a knock on having changing philosophies, from offensive play callers. So, and remember, he also had a very tough last year at Oregon, where his O-line was the most porous ever, and I think he threw 70 or 80% of his passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. So it's hard to get some of those bad habits out, especially if you're not being explained to the way that you're able to really receive the information, and it keeps changing. Like, it's hard for anyone. So he's got all the talent in the world, and I think, people believe that if he were able to just have some stability with the offense, but, obviously Brandon Staley's known as being a defensive coach and makes some weird decisions. But, the point is I think it's more seen as Herbert's upside still there, but, it could be being wasted pretty soon.
Cynthia Freeland is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, what do you think happens on Sunday afternoon, 3:25 at Arrowhead? Chiefs and Chargers. What do you got?
I think we finally see at least a 30-point game from the Chiefs. I actually, before we get out of here, I pulled some, and I think that Chargers are only in the 20s, maybe low 20s. So I think we see a nice, solid 30-point game. And one number I have to tell you, because I was looking at this yesterday, and I was like, I'm going to have to work this in somewhere, but maybe I'm just going to do it like this. What do you think so opposing offenses, there's this, plus or minus, your expected points added as a player. What do you think happens when teams target L'Jarius Sneed? What do you think that number is? Are those offenses expected to lose or gain points, and how many?
I would say that they're expected to lose. I mean, he's been so good this year, he and McDuffie. So I would guess, and maybe that's where it's being thrown off, is maybe it's a positive, but I would guess it's in the negative range for targeting L'Jarius Sneed.
Okay, you're absolutely right. It's negative. But so an average number would be -2, -3. His number's -18 points. So don't target him. That's the fourth best in the NFL for any player. That's a ridiculous number. When you target L'Jarius Sneed, your wide receiver is supposed to line up against him, you're expected to lose 18 points. That's ridiculous.
He's making – honestly, this is a total aside, Cynthia, but he's making himself so much money because, in the offseason, Josh and I talked about that, contracts for cornerbacks, if you look at the annual average value, you got to go down to number 32 in the league in annual average value for cornerbacks when you find a specific slot cornerback. That's how the top 31 are all outside corners. And Sneed played the slot until week 14 last year, Cynthia. They flipped him and McDuffie. And he's played outside, and he's been outstanding. He's going to get a lot of money this offseason. It's not going to be with the Chiefs, but he's making himself a lot of money by how he's playing and being an outside corner, not going into offseason going, hey, no, I promise I can play outside. I just played slot for the Chiefs. But the way that he's playing right now on the outside. It's unbelievable.
An insane number. Okay, I got one more. This isn't about the Chiefs, but it's a good one to tell your buddies when you're having a drink. So we all know that Brock Purdy makes significantly less than most other starting quarterbacks. But compared to Joe Burrow, what do you think, how many games, what do you think the metric is there between Joe Burrow and Brock Purdy?
In what form? I apologize.
So does Brock make does Joe make Brock's salary in one game? What's in 5 games? What do you think it is?
Oh, wow. The salary specifically, it's
12 minutes. Not even a quarter.
Not even a quarter. I was trying to think of a big game. I'm like, it's not a game. It's got to be less than that.
12 minutes.
I got to write that one down. Every 12 minutes, Burrow makes Brock Purdy's entire salary for the year.
Tell your friend. 12, not even a quarter. Not even a quarter.
That's unbelievable. That is absolutely crazy. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Now I feel like every week it's just all right, what's the number for us this week, Cynthia? What's our crazy number this week? Those are awesome, especially that L'Jarius Sneed one. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, great stuff. Appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the football, and already looking forward to our conversation next Wednesday.
Absolutely. Have a great week. Talk to you then.
Absolutely. There's Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. A game in which the Chiefs get into the 30s. She's got the Chargers in the low 20s, so a nice solid win there. But a couple of things to recap, and we'll go to break. Last 3 weeks on inside runs, Isaiah Pacheco has the third most yards after contact with 110 in the NFL. And L'Jarius Sneed has the 4th best number in the NFL overall of any player of expected points added when the defense goes after or the offense goes after him. She said the average would be -2 or -3 of like a good player. He's at -18. Unbelievable. He's going to get paid a lot of money. So I would say enjoy L'Jarius Sneed while you can, because I'm going to guess that he'll go the way of Charvarius Ward somewhere, and then McDuffie and Watson and Williams then have to step in and do some of those things. And this is about the keeping the window open with a really, really expensive quarterback. Those premium positions cost a lot of money. Draft them, find value, things like that, develop, and then when they're making a crap ton of money like L'Jarius Sneed will get, it's going to be hard to give them that second contract. But it's been awesome watching him play this year. So healthy, they stay healthy. This defense is absolutely legit. And we will find out over the next 6, 7, 8 weeks how really good this defense is because of the teams they will be playing more times than not. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
from the Kansas City Chiefs coming up here in just a little bit. Do we have an idea of who the players are going to be with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes?
You know what? I haven't seen them yet, and we usually
Great.
know, but
Yeah, we usually know by now.
But sometimes Lebo knows to send that back up the flagpole, and Marco's
Lebo's
out there
here,
today.
Marco's there.
So we may have I may have to make an inquiry there for Marco.
Blame Marco's. Marco's fault. We'll see who's.
I'll poke around. You know what made things like this a lot easier was when TweetDeck worked. Remember how TweetDeck used to work and be a good thing that people could use?
That's what I heard. I never used TweetDeck, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
It was awesome, and I would
times.
know if anyone had tweeted about this. And the current version doesn't really work anymore. So,
yeah, the amount of times people in this business have made fun of me for not using TweetDeck. I might be able to retire on it if I had $1.
Well, now
actually,
you're the one laughing.
If I had $1 million for every time I was made fun of for that, I could retire.
If I had $1 million for every time I complained about how Twitter ruined TweetDeck, I could retire.
That is actually true.
I could retire and buy an island.
Yes. A couple of texts that came in, 913-912-4810. This was with the Jerome Tang interview. Said, Jason, too subtle. I guarantee that's the first time that statement has been made.
I was shocked too, man. I was stunned.
It's a career highlight.
And this one is something that maybe we talk about as the season goes on. I don't know. Maybe it's part of the roster construction and salary cap and everything. Tex says, is Snead a candidate for the tag and trade next year? Flipping him could be more valuable than Jones. Chiefs can walk on Jones, get a third-round comp pick in 25, especially with the age of L'Jarius Snead. The franchise tag number for cornerbacks next year is 19.4, or 19.5, I should say. So they would have to have $19.5 million available to pay him if they, were not able to find a trade partner. So yeah, I think it's a possibility because of how good he is. The players in the NFL that are making around that money, Jair Alexander at 21, Denzel Ward 20.1, Jalen Ramsey 20, Marlon Humphrey 19.5, Marshawn Lattimore 19.4, Diggs 19.4, and then Xavier Howard drops down to $18 million. So he would be the fifth highest paid in annual average value if he gets just simply the franchise tag number at 19.4, 19.5. So I think it's a possibility. It's a ways down the line, but there's no doubt, Josh, and I know we need to take a break, there's no doubt that he is making himself a ton of money with how he's playing this year.
Yep, I tend to agree. It'll be somewhere else. We'll see how that all shakes out. And no corners on the list, but Marco Marquez, an incredible reporter, has reported you'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Willie Gay. So a good presser rotation today here for Chargers Week.
2 offensive, 2 defensive. Reid and Mahomes, Willie Gay and Chris Jones. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from those particular individuals. Coming up next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Well, the NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. You bet $5 on any game this week, you score $200 instant.
CBS game of the week coming up. So that'll be Nance and Romo. I don't know, Jim. What are we going to see here from Justin Herbert? Tony?
Looking to see if that's been officially announced. That is a Nance Romo special right there.
Yeah,
Chiefs,
right?
Chargers.
Don't they always have the 325 game of the week type thing?
I would certainly think so. I can't imagine there's another game that would challenge the CBS game of the week status.
Yeah. The stats from Cynthia, and when Andy starts talking, I'll just shut up and we'll throw it to Andy Reid.
Here's Andy Reid
talking.
That's not true. That was just a cut shot.
You
Sorry.
son of a gun!
Sorry.
You got me. We've been talking about the unders and how crazy it's been this year. That the unders actually went 12-2-1 because one of the games that I thought was a 13-2 was a push where the total went off at, but 12-2-1 was the number for last week's unders. And I had mentioned that it doesn't feel like Vegas can adjust enough. Color me wrong, because last week there was one game that was under 40 in a total. This week already there's 5.
Wow.
There are 5 totals under 40. Not just talking about the 42.5 and the under 43 that we were discussing about that threshold, that everything when it's under 43 as a total, the under hit, almost 80% of the time, and that was this week. It was let's see. The under for 43.5 was the only one was a push that ended up losing. Every other one ended up hitting. It was just that 19-17 game, whatever that was, Browns 49ers. Yeah, that was the push because it was like 36. It got really low in that game. But like the totals this weekend, Thursday, 40, 42, 41.5, 39.5, 41.5, 37.5, 38, 45 with Cardinals Seahawks, 43.5 Steelers Rams, 48.5 Chargers Chiefs, 45 for Packers and Broncos, 52 for Dolphins and Eagles, and then 44 with 49ers and Vikings. But that early window, Thursday night onto the early window, is expected to be very low scoring. Maybe not a lot of fun, but maybe the witching hour could be amazing if there's a lot of close games there from 2 to 3. But 40, 42, 41.5, 39.5, 41.5, 37.5, 38. That's the noon window. Thursday to noon, the noon window is the unders. So I was wrong about saying Vegas isn't adjusting fast enough. Oh, they did quickly. Or they put that number out, Josh, and it just immediately was getting bet down. That's just what I saw this morning.
Yeah, and I don't. The crazy thing is, it's not just games without quarterbacks. Like the 42 line of Lions-Ravens is like 2 grown-up real offenses that also just seem to have taken some steps defensively, specifically in Lions' case. That trend, now this is where it goes back in. I'm just looking at my DraftKings app now. The funny thing about it is, of the lines that kind of stand out, like Niners-Vikings at over under 44 feels like the one that might be a little high because there's a really good defense there and the Niners are pretty banged up and all of that, but that seems like a little high. Well, that's Monday night. That's a primetime game. And I don't feel great about that game not ending 23-21. Like, that still feels like it could be in the cards. So I've never really I've never been a heavy over-under follower. And now I'm kind of keeping my eye out, and I still don't know how many of these games like actively speak to me.
Yeah, and I should mention too that the Thursday night game, just looking at it this morning, that was 39. The total. It's 40 now, so it's gone up a point for Thursday night's game. But yes, I'm like, I thought there was another one. But here's Andy Reid.
All right. Really, the only injury is Justin Watson has an elbow contusion. He won't practice today. We'll just see how he does here as we go down the road. Look for the challenge of playing the Chargers. We know they're a good football team. I mean, Brandon Staley's done a nice job there, and they hired Kellen Moore this past off season to run the offense, and he's doing a nice job. So we just got to make sure that we have a good week of preparation as we get ready to play. That time's yours.
Andy, Justin Watson, is he a candidate for IR, or do you think he'll be back before then at least?
Before then.
Felix's snaps were down against Denver. Is he taking a step back, or was there a reason for him not playing as much as he had to?
Yeah, Spags went to a lot of the 3 down guys, and he just gets kicked out on that one, but it was for no other reason. He's done a nice job. So.
Andy, I know division games, everybody knows everybody, right? But it always seems to be that this one, sometimes, games will get out of hand. This series never does, no matter where you guys are. You guys always seem to be one score at the end. You got a theory as to why you seem to be so sticky?
Yeah, they're a good team, and they play well against us. We play well against them, and it's just one of those games. That's how you go about prepping for it. It's going to come right down the end, and you bear down and focus on job at hand and make sure we're doing the right things.
How long has Herbert's been through several, I had 3 offensive coordinators in his time there. How long does it take, to get in sync with your quarterback and offensive coordinator where you can give everything to them and they understand it all?
Yeah, I think it just depends on the person. He's a sharp kid. Very, very smart. And he's got a coach now that, played that position in the NFL. And it looks like he's doing pretty good with it. So he looks sharp.
Andy, when did you start doing a day at OTAs for your divisional teams? Was it as far back as Philadelphia? Or was it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What prompted that, and what do you see the benefit as being?
Yeah, you play them twice, and so we just spend a little extra time trying to get to know them better, if you can. Now changes take place, so but you spend a little time on it, and I don't know if most teams do that, but I'm sure there are other teams that do it for sure. So.
And in part, is it also to just send the message that these games are, the marquee games?
I think I think the guys know that they understand that you're playing a team twice. They're in your division there, and you gotta do well. But I think taking the time for the coaches and players when it's not quite so chaotic as during the season to spend some time on it, I think helps.
Coach, on Monday we talked about how defenses are adapting as we go. So it's ever changing. How have you seen Pat, maybe in recent seasons, be more comfortable taking them, like some of that underneath methodical stuff?
Yeah, I think that's it. That's really he's more patient with the underneath game, checkdowns. But yet still is staying aggressive. There's a fine balance there. So, but he's gotten better at that for sure.
A couple of years ago, there was a discussion about Chris Jones and the effort to play him more on the defensive end role. And that season, he was hurt a lot, so maybe it didn't work out the way both he and the team planned. This year, obviously he moves around the way he does, but a lot of his production, pass-wise, is coming on the end. What's it just say about him? Is he truly a hybrid of sorts? Is he a tackle, an end? What do you kind of view him as?
Somebody that as good as he is, that good, you got to move him around a little bit because he's not a mark man, but they know they've got to slow him down. So the best you can move him around, that helps him. Now, he's a good enough athlete where he can do that and has a good enough feel for things where you can do that with him. Not everybody can do that, but he gives you that flexibility. And so that's what Spags and Joe do. They give him opportunities outside and inside and mix it up a little bit.
Seems like he has a bit of extra fury this year, coming off the contract and that whole debacle. Have you seen something extra from him this year?
Listen, he's always this is what he's been the last few years. He's grown up before our eyes, and I think he's taken it serious. The last few years has been very serious on the skill of both spots, but his job.
Coach, what can Amenahue bring once he kind of gets up to speed and back in? What can he add to the defense?
Well, he's another one that can play inside and outside, and it gives you flexibility there. He's good at both. So again, you can work different combinations with that. But he's definitely somebody you have to look at. If I'm game planning against him, I'm gonna know where he's at, and you gotta. Yeah, he's a good football player.
Coach, I assume your answer would be we'll see how it goes this week, but would you say it's at least open to him being able to play this weekend? Yeah,
well, I do want to see how it goes in the practices, but sure, there's a chance. I think he's in good shape for being not in a football uniform, so he's kept himself in good shape. Now, the one advantage he has that maybe somebody that hasn't played up to this point, he went through all the training camp, all the preseason games, and we'll just see. We'll see how he does moving around out here.
Couple more guys. Go ahead, Blake.
Just a trend thing. Points and yards are down, which means defensive numbers are up after 6 weeks. But any just easy theories on why offenses have trended down, not just with the Chiefs, but across the league?
Yeah, listen, I think their schemes, they're combining a bunch of different things and doing it well. Before, the teams that tried to do that, they were normally weak in one spot or the other. I'm not seeing that over the last couple of years here. Yeah.
Coach, we just talked about Emmanuel Hewlett and Chris Jones inside outside. How much of that, I know it's been a while, but drew you to Joe Cullen and bringing him in and just being able to kind of teach that versatility positionless type of thing on the
Yeah, well, Joe's a great defensive line coach, so I mean, he understands what it takes to play both. He kind of trains all the guys to do that. You see Michael doing it. They've all got a little piece of that working inside and outside. So George has been in there. I think you have to be able to teach. That's a different animal once you get inside there now. That's you're surrounded as
Last one, sir.
To Blair's point, Coach, the offensive trend it's a 4-year trend. It's been kind of easing back, and I remember when it was kind of at that peak number, we were talking about offenses, and is there just no way to stop them? And you said, hey, it's all cyclical. The defenses will catch up. Yeah. So as you look at it right now, is it still all cyclical, and the offenses will take off in the next few years?
Well, we'll see. I know the offensive guys will try to do that for sure, but defensive guys they're doing a great job right now around the league. I mean, it's great. It's great. You love the challenge of that. So that's the defensive guys love the challenge of stopping the offense, and the offensive guys love the challenge of stopping the defense. So, and that's how it goes.
All right. Thank you.
Good.
All right, there's Andy Reid, the injury update. Justin Watson with the elbow contusion. So that's certainly different than, or maybe it's the same, dislocated or subluxation, I would guess would be a different terminology than just elbow contusion. But he is going to practice. So that's certainly an earlier return than expected.
I don't think he is going to
IR.
practice.
I'm sorry, I thought he said he will practice. I apologize.
I think he's the only one who will not practice, but you're right, he will not require an IR stand. That was still also good news to me.
Here's Mahomes.
This is now seeing the environment, and then obviously watching the Drive to Survive on Netflix. You see how competitive it is, and anytime you get an opportunity to get in on that, I mean, I'm competitive as anyone can get, and so hopefully it can open up to some great opportunities, and we're able to go to some of those races and have a little stake in the game.
They're a French team. I mean, did you have options on any one of the 10 teams?
No. I don't know if I had options. They came to us with the opportunity. I jumped at it. I'm excited for it, and obviously having Trav with me, I mean, it'll be cool to be able to go to some of the events and hopefully get to some other places, maybe other than Miami, maybe get to some of the other places around the world. It'll be really cool.
You had Drive at any point?
So if I can get there, then I might settle down. But they make it pretty tough to get to that spot.
Is that the ultimate goal for you, big spot?
Yeah, eventually when I'm done playing. I think Tom's trying to do it right now. But that's definitely where you want to get to because I love this sport and want to give back in any way possible. When I'm done playing, obviously I'll be a Chiefs fan. But at the same time, I want to have that competitive edge like I've always had my entire life.
If it wasn't possible in the NFL, would you look at an NBA team, NHL, baseball, whatever it might be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking around. I mean, obviously I can't do it in the NFL while I'm playing. So I'm always looking around at other sports. I mean, it's hard to get in all sports, NBA and all that different type of stuff. But I'm always keeping my ears open. If they give me the opportunity, I'm going to jump at it.
Patrick, you play the Chargers this coming up. You look at their defense and they're ranked very low, but then you see Mack has like 7 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking at their defense, is he the guy you key on?
I mean, they got a lot of guys. I think that's their record doesn't reflect it this year, but we understand how good this football team is. They're a playoff football team, a team that we play to one score, it seems like, every single game. Great quarterback, great weapons on the offense, great defense all around. And so it'll be a great challenge for us and something that we have to step up for. The offense, we need to play better in order to win this game. And I think this will be a great opportunity for us to go up against a great defense and see what we can do.
Is the Mack truck somebody you keep?
Yeah, no, 100%. You got him and Joey Bosa on the other side, so it's tough to choose between one of those two guys because those are two of the best pass rushers in the league.
Patrick, after watching film, how do you think the offense can be better?
Yeah, I think it's little stuff, and I said it after the game, and even watching the film, you see it even more. It's just the little stuff that we're not executing at a high enough level, and it's not everybody, and it's different people every single play, including myself. And so in this league, in order to have these sustained drives and score touchdowns, get in the red zone and score. Zone coverages, and we haven't proven that we can sustain multiple drives where we go down the field and score. We've done it in spurts. So we have to continue to do that. And once we show that, we run the ball, we throw it short, we get down the field and score touchdowns, they'll come up, and that's when I need to hit the deep shots.
You have to be aware, right, during the game that, hey, I haven't thrown deep at all. I mean, is there an urge to do it at least once or twice a game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always have that mentality, but you kind of have to just take what's there and what the defense is giving you, and that's something that I've learned over my years is as much as I want to throw it deep every play, you got to just take what's there, and there's probably a couple shots in the game I might have could have got to, but at the same time, just continue to sustain those drives that we had this last week. Let's just put them in the end zone at the end of them.
Given that you haven't been necessarily as productive as you wanted to be offensively, is there a little different feeling to that this year, given how the defense is playing?
Yeah, I mean that helps out a ton whenever you don't feel like you've played your best ball, especially as an offense, and you're still sitting here 5-1. And so you have to continue to just push, continue to get better and better. That's all you can do regardless. But at the same time, we understand that it's going to take the offense at some point to have the big game to win it. And our defense is holding it down for us right now, but let's take some pressure off of them so they can play free and be even better.
You talk about those little things, and it feels like the receivers in this offense, it's kind of like a ballet, a dance, read option routes and all of these things. Does chemistry matter that much more just because it's in this offense and that everything has to be in sync?
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that we continue to build. I think guys have come a long way even since OTAs, and I feel like we're in a good spot. But we have to continue to get better and better throughout the year. We want to be playing our best football all the time, but obviously we want to be playing at the end of the year. And so I feel like we're making steps in the right direction. Let's just continue to get better, and hopefully by the end of the year we can really be the best that we can be.
Let's go to Nate next. You mentioned the deep zones that you're seeing. In basketball, teams playing a zone, you got to be able to hit the threes to get them out.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of the football equivalent to you? What do you need to be able to do to get people out of that?
Yeah, I think it's just like I said, you got to have these sustained drives like we had this last game, but you have to execute in the red zone, and that's something that we've taken pride in these last few years is scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Obviously, this last game we didn't do that. That's why the game was close because we didn't score those touchdowns. We got field goals and didn't get points in some drives, and so we have to continue to get better and better and make sure that when we have these long sustained drives that we score touchdowns when we get down in the red zone.
We'll go Nate, Vahe, and Seren. Go ahead, Nate.
Patrick, bit of an odd question, but when you saw the schedule release back in the spring, just how did you sort of anticipate the season going, and just how, I guess, unique or different is it to play just about every time zone possible for the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes with the territory. Whenever you start winning a lot, you play the better teams in the NFL, just how the schedule makers make the schedule. And then obviously we have a lot of primetime games and not a lot of 12 o'clock games and stuff like that. And so that just comes with it. When you win, they want to put you on those nationally televised games and stuff like that. And we're excited for it. I mean, what better prepare you for the playoffs than playing in different time zones, playing at different times of the day, and playing in front of everybody so that you can prepare your yourself that whenever you get to the playoffs, you're ready to go. And so it's a heck of an opportunity, and I'm excited that I'm playing at Arrowhead this week at 3 because that's like my favorite time I think to play.
Just like, what do you prefer? Or is there, prime time versus like late afternoon?
I think during the regular season, I prefer like that 3 o'clock window just because it's right there, especially when you're at home because you get to get home and watch the night game and everything like that, not too late. But once you get towards the end of the season, I like the primetime ones at 7, no matter if it's Monday, Thursday, or Sunday night.
Patrick, I think it's only 1 day per divisional team you spend during OTAs, but do you think of that as having value in what you guys have done in the division? What does it do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does have value. I think just the coaches put an emphasis on that we got to win our division first. We believe we have a tough division there. Every game in our division is a one-score game. It's going down to the wire, and so we understand it takes the little things that are going to take us to get that win. And so we have to continue to really focus on our division opponents, and especially the Chargers. And so we take that time in the offseason. We take some more time in training camp so that when we get to this week, we're prepared and ready to go out there and be our best. And that our best is what it's going to take in order to get the win.
And when you think of the reasons why you've had such success in the division, what things do you think of the most?
It's just ultimate focus. Every game's been close. It's not like it's a lot of blowouts or anything like that. It's just we find a way at the end of the but
What things do you think of the most?
It's just ultimate focus. Every game's been close. It's not like it's a lot of blowouts or anything like that. It's just we find a way at the end of the day to get the win. But we understand and respect our opponents, that we know that it's going to be a hard fought battle, and I think that's where I guess some teams would lose some of those games. Is we don't take it for granted that we're going to play our best football to win, and we understand that going into every single week that we play a division opponent.
Patrick, I know quarterback's such a unique position in sports with everything that goes into it, and there's kind of a camaraderie amongst the respect for all the other guys that do the job. I know you did a commercial with Herbert. Where is he? It sounds like you're pretty close with Tom Brady.
All right, there's Patrick Mahomes. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. We'll hear from Chris Jones and Willie Gay. We'll see who's up at the podium first between Chris Jones and Willie Gay. But, yeah, that F1 opportunity, man. Roughly, $210 million or so with the investment group. He and Travis Kelce and Rory McIlroy and some others. So, yeah, he's in the F1 game now, and he's not going to stop his sports investments until he can own an NFL team besides the Broncos.
That was set up better than your Tyler Perry joke earlier.
Thank you.
That one I could see coming, but like in an alley-oop kind of way. Like I saw it like off the backboard. I saw you soaring through the sky. And went, here it comes.
Yes, that's right. I mean, a lot of that conversation was about the two deep, the checkdowns, the offense, and sort of the theme from him was sustain drives, take what's available, score in the red zone, get them out of that defense. And until that happens, they'll stay doing that. And that's why the Broncos stay doing that, is because they couldn't capitalize in the red zone. And as he said, that's why the game was close, was because they didn't capitalize in the red zone. So, it makes sense.
It's relatively simple. It's all because, again, Andy Reid got asked about that same thing earlier, and how Mahomes has matured over the years that way or whatever it's been. It's, go ahead and take all this patient stuff and do all of that. But even when you successfully do that between the 20s, it doesn't actually punish a defense unless you can score that way, which goes back to the way that we're judging this team more harshly than we would some, 9-8 type of team that's maybe clawing toward a playoff spot. The Chiefs have to be able to finish in the red zone, and then defenses will have to evolve again.
Yeah, I think it's, I'll restate what I said on Monday or Friday, whatever it was. I love the fact that they struggled in the red zone against a team that they didn't need to be really awesome in the red zone, because they're going to have to maximize red zone opportunities against the Chargers this weekend. And if they struggle in the red zone against the Chargers the way they did against the Broncos, it'll be more than just a close game.
Yes.
They might be on the losing end of that. And so them having the hyper-focus of this week of you didn't get the job done in the red zone, and – stop talking about you're going to be better and actually go and make the improvements and focus on that and have the hyper-focus, then, yeah, I love that, because this weekend against the Chargers, I'm wondering how they go about getting teams out of that. It'd be great if they could. So here's Willie Gay.
Willie, if I could take you back to sort of this time last year, you coming back from your suspension and then obviously having the success in the second half of the season, is there something that you pinpoint during that break that led you to have such a successful second half?
Just staying ready, man, and keeping everything intact mentally, and trying to not to get too much into the outside world, knowing that sooner or later I will be back in that action. And what was it, week 6, I think, and I was rolling after that, and was happy to be back. So
yeah, I think obviously Charles is going through something similar. Did you have any conversations with him about how to maybe guide him through this?
We talked a while ago, what we talked about, I'm gonna keep between us, but just to help him out a little bit, I did give him some advice, and tried to help him see this whole situation through, and thank God he's finally back, man. So
Willie, you were in training camp with him, and of course preseason. What does he bring to the defense? What are you excited to have back?
He's just a versatile defensive end, a guy that can play the run, play the pass. He's long, so he can set edges. Just a very versatile guy came from the 49ers where they had a great defense, and to add him to our team and to this to the defensive room is a big piece.
What's his energy been like this week, just knowing that he can finally?
Oh, he's happy. Just know that he's ready. So the game was taken away from him, and now he's back. So he's definitely grateful to be back.
What's the challenge for Austin Eckler? He's one of the best guys out of the backfield, and how much pressure does he put on you guys?
There's nothing he can't do. He missed a couple weeks, but he's back now, healthy. So he can run the ball, catch the ball out the backfield. So we just keep our eyes on him.
Chargers have had a few offensive coordinators these past few seasons. What are you seeing from Kellen Moore and just the scheme overall?
Really, screens, man. They want to get the ball to the playmakers, 13, 30, whether it's run or pass with 30, and really just any way to put points on the board, they'll do it. So you can't count this team out nothing. So
when you see a game that could be sideline like that, which plays to your assets, do you kind of salivate a little bit?
Oh yeah, every game like that for me, man. I just like running. So whenever the ball gets on the edge, I go. So.
Well, a few years ago, when Staley first got there, they were one of the first teams to really start going for it on 4th down. It looked like they might have been surprising some folks. Maybe they even surprised you guys. How has that changed in your time in the NFL? It's more prevalent, and are you guys ready for it?
Oh yeah, you just got to know. Well, the first key is to get teams into 3rd and longer, so they won't go for it. And then because if it's 3rd and 2, now it's 4-down territory. They treat 3rd down like 2nd down, and now it's 4th and 1. They obviously going for it across the 50-yard line. So to try to get teams in longer down and distances, so negative plays start that, and that's the key for us. Just the sacks, TFLs, and negative plays on pass down. So.
Well, now that we're through a quarter here.
Day one, since he came in the league with me 4 years ago, and he was good then, and he's getting even better now. So that's what I have on him.
Last one. Thanks, Willie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Willie.
All right, there is a I don't know if it's toned down Willie Gay, but it's definitely a guarded more Willie Gay, if that makes sense. Of the last couple of times he's talked, there have been some. What's that? Willie Gay, is he taking a shot? Is he throwing a little shade? No, Austin Eckler, nothing he can't do. We have to keep an eye on him. What about Justin Herbert? The record doesn't really match up. No, he's been good since day one. He's only getting better. That's what I'll say about him. That was great.
We got to find a way to play it cooler when guys step in it a little bit, because that is exactly what's happening there. I mean, Justin Reed, it happened to him last year, and he's a leader on the defense. We got to figure out a way for guys to say a little more wild stuff and then just pretend that we didn't hear it, but we all acknowledge that we did.
Well, the problem is Nate's not out there. Willie opens up to Nate Bukaty. When Nate is talking to Willie Gay, it's go time. It's, hey, what am I going to say? I've been holding back for this long. I really want to say something. Nate's not in the audience. Austin Eckler, nothing he can't do. Oh, what if Nate asked that question? Austin Eckler? Yeah, if he's healthy, if he's out there, that's fine. We don't really need to prepare for him, because how many plays is he actually going to play in a game? When he's in there, we have to keep an eye on him, but that's only really 20% of the time. So I think we'll be fine against Austin Eckler, especially with Herbert, the guy who's throwing him the football, captain check down with the strongest arm in the league. We just got to worry about things in front of us, because he's probably not throwing it behind us. No, thanks, Nate.
Did you say your Willie opens up for Nate Bukaty? This one did not become a thing because there was nothing in there. We gotta let him out again.
There wasn't anything.
Hashtag free Willie. Hey, there you go.
But there is the the excitement around Charles Omenihu coming back.
Oh yeah,
said man is that thank God he's back. So versatile, set the edge against the run, play the pass. He's a big piece and he's ready. I'm pumped, man, because Andy Reid talked about it. The guy plays inside, he can play outside. He's versatile from that standpoint. That the different pieces now that Spagnuolo has with Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu now, Dana the way he's playing, FAU if they use him a little bit more than they did this last week. But there are some pieces to have some fun watching and Turk Wharton, who's also good at that skill. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun watching this defense if they can stay healthy with this defensive line and what Spags. And then if you don't have to blitz as often, Josh, then you get that pressure with that front four. Now all of a sudden these guys we're talking about in the secondary are even better.
Yep.
Not having to blitz and bring that pressure.
They're getting even more help there. And it's funny, I was going back through some of the numbers last night, mostly because of Frank Clark and that conversation. But we're on the same page that we are not taking Mike Dana off the field in a punishment sense or in a negative play sense. But I was surprised to find out that he's played 79.5% of the Chiefs' defensive snaps so far this year. I don't mind him coming off the field for Charles Omenihu a little bit in a rotational, let's have you still have legs in January kind of way. And I just think that Malik Herring and his 29% of the defensive snaps, most of those are going to go to Omenihu. He can take a few from Dana. And again, I am saying at least, you can take a few from Dana. He will continue to get a lot of work, and I'm cool. I'm great with that, in fact, especially because of that inside-outside versatility. But they got to get Omenihu on the field, and I bet he plays a pretty good chunk of snaps. If I set the over/under at Malik Herring's number of 29% on the season, that's pretty close to where I would put Omenihu on Sunday. I think 25 to 50% of the snaps. Nothing in there would surprise me.
Yeah, I'm with you. 25, 30%. Also because, Chris Jones and how often he was in there against the Jags on passing downs. He was in there. They're going to pass. Here's Chris Jones. I think that's what we'll see with Charles Omenihu. He's not necessarily football ready, but is he fresh and ready to go and just attack the passer? And, how often the Chargers are going to be in passing situations. They love to pass the ball. A big extension of their running game is Austin Eckler, catching the football. So, yeah, they'll hand it to Austin Eckler, but he's a much better receiver and a guy out of the backfield than he is just a simply pure runner. And so, yeah, I think we'll see a decent amount of Omenihu for a guy who missed the first 6 weeks. I'd be curious in how many snaps Willie Gay played last year in his first game back from suspension after missing, because Chris Jones working out on his own is a little different, obviously, with no training camp with the Chiefs, whereas Willie
snaps in week 1 and 2 last year, and then when he returned in week 7, or game 7 at least, he played 57% of the snaps, which was a little less than his average the rest of the year. But again, he played the first 2 games of the season before that actually kicked in. And then also, just for comparison's sake, Mike Dana played a lot last year. I forgot he only played 13 games, and that made him play only 54% of the Chiefs' defensive snaps last season. This year he is at 80 so far. He's played almost 300 defensive snaps this season, more than 300 if you include special team snaps now.
Wow.
He was a 471 the entirety of last season, 534 the entirety of 2021 when he did play all 17 games, but in a lesser role.
I mean, it's crazy. And I'll be honest with you, I'd be open if I was the Chiefs right now to extending Mike Dana.
Yeah.
For a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what he's going to get in the offseason or anything like that. If he's going to be a candidate for a 1-year returner that we've seen from like Allegretti and guys like that. If that's something that they do with Mike Dana, but you want to give him a couple of year extension now and say, hey, we got you. You stay here. You don't have to go through the stressors of the free agency or anything like that. We want to bring you back and let's go ahead and give you money right now. I'd totally be in favor of that because of how he's played. He's earned it on this team, and he's quickly gone from a guy that's like, what were they drafting him for? And guy's just going to be a project, and is he strong enough? Is he fast enough? What is he really going to do? He's I guess, a nice depth piece that if you get really deep down the roster that, okay, he plays out there. Is he terrible at one thing or another? Like, we'll see. And now it's like, I want him on the field.
Yeah.
I want him on the field. And he's been damn good. And I'd be okay if that's a guy they're like, hey, let's give him a couple-year extension. Bring him back for a couple more years, because what's Charles Omenihu's contract? Is he?
2. It's a 2-year
2
deal.
years?
Yeah,
Okay.
most of that money's next year.
So you got him for 2. And Chris Jones may not be here.
Yep.
So that allows you to play Charles Omenihu a little more inside if Dana's doing that with the hopefully continued development of FAU and, playing a little bit more next year. That'd be great. Karlaftis, another year of development that, you can hopefully try to plug that hole if Chris Jones is not on this team. It is a massive hole to try to, fill in, but, you got to try some way. You got to figure it out one way or another to be able to do that because we could be talking about a defense next year, Josh, that does not have Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
And those have been 2 huge pieces of this team this year. I know Brett Veach and his staff obviously are already planning that, and they are, coming up with their roster construction, what the defense is going to look like, and whether Dana's a part of that, whether Chris Jones is a part of that, whether L'Jarius Sneed's a part of that. Certainly, it might be an impossibility for both of those guys, Jones and Sneed, to be a part of that, especially with what Sneed's doing right now. So it's going to be interesting what takes place. We're still waiting for Chris Jones to get to the podium. So
the only thing he doesn't do with great quickness and ferocity.
At least we're not waiting as long for Chris Jones to get to the podium as we did for him to get into camp or to the team.
Yeah, I guess he never really did get into camp, I suppose.
It never.
Maybe this was an open secret, and maybe I should have known this, but the little detail about the Chiefs doing like divisional. Vahe said OTAs the second time. Doing like a day on divisional opponents and OTAs was a fascinating little nugget. I don't think I had ever heard of that, and maybe that was just my own miss. I don't know. Was that new to you too?
It was new to me, and I'm looking forward to reading about it tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, that's it's really interesting. I guess in theory, I guess we should have known that, but a specific day in OTAs dedicated to one of the divisional opponents. So, yeah, that's interesting. Here's Chris Jones.
Utilize his ability, especially on pass rush downs.
And he knows the system, fresh legs. Are you sensing the energy of him, like he can't wait to get out there?
Yeah, he's super excited. We just got to make sure he knows the plays and all the checks and everything. But we're excited to get him back. He's excited to be back, and we're ready to add that addition to this defensive line.
Hey, Chris, 2 years ago, we made a big deal, and it was talked about a lot about you going and playing more on the edge. And you spent like 2/3 of your snaps out there. You were hurt, you had the wrist injury. Last year, you went back to playing more inside. This year, you're playing about 2/3 on the edge, and you've been really productive. What's the difference between now and maybe 2 years ago?
Joe Cullen, having Joe Cullen around, a guy who's heavily invested in this D-line and, very particular on chasing greatness every day. So pushing the best out of me, the individuals in the D-line, and I think it's a trickle effect.
What have you learned about playing out there without giving away, I guess, any sort of trade secrets about it?
I just learned how to rush.
Is it I think we talked about this before, Chris, but is it a joy to sort of find the matchup that you feel most comfortable at, but have the rest of the guys sort of play well within sort of your decisions to go inside or outside, depending on the down situation?
I'm super grateful for the guys in the room. We have an unselfish group who allows me to play free and be free amongst the defensive line. I'm very grateful of that. I think it's more so of a weekly prep on where I can get an advantage at, and the guys buy in. They allow me to do that. So, I think it's a collective effort.
How much input do you get, like whether it's going through the film with Joe and Steve and saying, hey, I like this spot, I like that spot, and in a game, how much input do you get on where you get to line up and go from?
I think it's a mutual agreement on both ends. Transparency is key. Watching film, them understanding how you like to rush, where you like to rush from, them trying to put you in the best position to to get that rush and put the grit into it, but also getting the guys to accept it. So,
are there times where you see how the offensive line, particularly what side the tight end might be on, before you actually decide where you're going to line up?
Yeah, sometimes, especially in the game, you never know the adjustments to the game until you get to the game. So you have to make game time decisions, right? So I call it calculated risk.
It's very good 5 sacks in 5 games. Is there, in a way, a benefit to maybe not having gone through the training camp and just having more energy this season, or is that like a wild?
I actually think my body's pretty healthy. Proud to not going to training camp. I can't speak for everybody else, but I feel really damn good right now.
You talk about Justin Herbert. I mean, what challenge does he present as a quarterback? I know they're not having the season they want, but what do you see in him, and is he getting better every year?
Yeah, Justin Herbert, his number speaks for itself, I guess. They say women lie, men lie, but numbers doesn't lie. You look at his numbers year in and year out. He's continued to be dominant. He's continued to make big-time throws. He's continued to be a force on that team. And, sometimes the record doesn't show how good of a player he is. We go back to last week, Russell Wilson has a QBR of like 101, but they have a bad record. So does that mean he's a bad quarterback? No, his QBR telling you he's not a bad quarterback. It's just unfortunate situation. So I definitely think he's a heck of a quarterback, a top 10 quarterback in this league. That team is an eager team. I know they're dealing with injuries on the defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball. The starting center went down. But that's a heck of a team over there, coached by a really, really good coach that I respect well. So we know it's going to be a dogfight. It's a division game, and I'm excited. Looking forward to it.
You had the season where you had a sack in 11 straight games, I think, 11 or 12, whatever it was, set the NFL record for it. What did that season tell you about how difficult it is to do something like that?
I think every year has its challenges. Every season has its own adversity. Most importantly, I think it's about the guys in the room with you who has kind of bound to assure success. If you got guys who is unselfish and who allows you to be you and excel in what you do best, then it can excel the whole room. So I think hand in hand with the guys I have in the room with me, I think it's a counter product of my success.
Chris, what do you view yourself as? I mean, are you a defensive tackle? Are you defensive end, edge rusher, defensive lineman? What do you think of yourself as?
I guess a hybrid. Can play inside, can play outside. No specific position. We did the end thing for a whole year. Now it's more so it's like back and forth, and I'm very comfortable with it. I had a couple years in Spags defense where I know the end position, know the tackle position, know when I can take my chances. So it's more so for me, it's about comfortability.
Let's circle back a little bit to just how you kind of view your value in the business, because you're obviously one of the best defensive tackles. Now you're having a lot of success, and you can make an argument and say, hey, I'm one of the better edge rushers too. Does that circle back into just kind of your contract and value and how you view yourself?
I won't say that. I think that's a discussion to have after the season. I'll let my agents take it up on it. For me, how I view myself is continue to get better week in and week out. I'll let you guys do the comparison where I'm at, where you rank me at. But for me, it's about continuing to get better every day.
Chris, so just looking back to your interview with Rodney Harrison on Peacock, and everyone talking about that, and then some guys like Michael Parsons been quick to speak out on former players, speaking on current players. Do you think that's any kind of issue on anything like that?
No, I don't think it's an issue. I think we've lost the sight of freedom of speech. I think everybody is entitled to have their opinion about whatever they want to talk about. You know what I mean? And I don't think they're wrong for having their own opinion. I think these days people are a little sensitive to opinions. It's okay. You got to take the good with the bad. We live in a profession, we play a profession that you're going to get criticized for the bad and you're going to get praised for the good. So sometimes it goes hand in hand. So I think opinions for me, I strive off of them. I look at them as a building point. You take the good with the bad. It's all about what you take in, That's just the way it is.
Let's go Saran and Nate.
Chris, I know with not getting the contract done long-term, this might be the last year, the way things kind of work out. Are you having any moments where you take a little time? Obviously we see your affinity for Joe and your teammates and everything. Are you looking at this year any differently, maybe trying to soak in each day a little more and knowing it you might not be here next year?
Yeah, listen, man, you got to take it with stride, man. I'm a huge believer in Christ, and I feel like everything happened for a reason, right? And I feel like some things happen for the betterment. So whether I'm here from years on or this is my last year, I'm completely grateful for it, and we're just going to continue, make sure we win the ring.
Last one.
Two questions real quick. Chris, Frank is a free agent. What would he bring if the opportunity does present himself to come back? And then my second question is, why do you feel like the defensive line as a whole has been more productive against the run this year than previous?
I think as a whole, as a D-line, we've asked a lot of people to mature a lot. You know, George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, him getting the starting role for this year. George coming in second year, first year he was a starter. You know, asking those guys to mature, and we got guys on the bench who can come in and be a starter. Also, Tershawn Warden, who we brought in. You know, Matt Dickerson. So we got a lot of guys who've been around this system, knows the ins and outs of this defense, and is comfortable with this defense. I think comfortability is a huge thing in being successful, especially amongst the defensive line, because this player is comfortable. They can play lights out without thinking. And, you know, everyone is unselfish, man. Everyone is unselfish. I think that's a huge part of it, being unselfish, playing for one another, not per se chasing stats. And I think this is where success happens, man. When everyone is focused on one goal, it's more achievable than everyone's focused on different things. And I think we all focus on one goal, and that's about being better than we were last week, adding our 1% in every day. And by the time we make it to January or December, we'll continue making strides, and we'll be where we want to be.
And Frank, any thoughts about that potentially happening? What he could benefit you guys most if that does happen?
Like I said at the beginning, I never think you can have enough pass rushers. You know, Frank for me is like a brother. We was able to achieve a lot of success with Frank. Kansas City know what type of guy Frank is, what he brings to this team, the type of charisma, the attitude, the leadership he brings. So, you know, to have him back, I would love for that to happen. So we'll see where it goes. He's still a free agent right now, so hopefully we get him in. I'll take care.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, there is Chris Jones, also Frank Clark's agent, Chris Jones. Now, we know he's a big fan of Frank Clark, as he said he's like a brother to him. And Chris Jones getting ready for the Chargers coming up this weekend with an addition on the D-line in Charles Aminu. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Mick Schaefer will hang out with us. Expected to talk with Bill Self coming up at 1 o'clock. More Zone right after this. It is our Big 12 Media Day, basketball Media Day coverage presented by QC Kinetics. Get rid of nagging joint pain without drugs and without surgery. Now there's a better way. Natural biological treatments from QC Kinetics. Learn more about regenerative solutions. Call QC Kinetics 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299. Hanging out with us here at the T-Mobile Center is Mick Schaefer. Hi, Mick.
Hi.
He is from KSHB 41, and now he's sitting right in front of me.
It's amazing. You see him on TV, but I'm also in other places, too.
So we could see you, and now we get to hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, the people can't see you right now. If you were in studio with us, they could see you, too. But no.
One of our anchors texted me something today from the morning show of me on the monitor, and we record our morning sports the night before. What? I know. Sorry, spilling the beans. I was like, that's the first time I've ever seen an image of morning sports. I swear to God.
Your life.
6+ years. I do it, and I don't know when they air it, like 6 o'clock hour, maybe 7. I have no idea. I've never, ever watched it.
When do you go to sleep? Typically at night when you work.
1-ish, 1:30 sometimes. If it's a good Netflix series, maybe 2:30. We'll see.
We brought that up because on Thursday Night Football last week with Josh and Dylan doing the post game, because Josh was like, I think I got home at like 2:15, and whatever time you went to bed, I can't remember what it was, Josh, what time you went to bed. We were like, yeah, you're living the life of Mick, because he was like, I got home, and I'm like, do I just go straight to sleep? I just got through doing a 2.5, 3-hour post game show, and now, I mean, do I watch? I'm like, well, that's when Mick watches his TV shows and everything, is when it's like midnight 30.
I have to try real hard to see my family. It takes a lot of it, and sometimes in the week, some weeks I'm like, I just don't have it this week. So I will see you guys next week, okay?
Yeah. What time did you fall asleep, Josh, on Thursday night?
I think I did the smartest possible thing, which is at like 2:30 or so, I laid in bed and then just sort of stared at my phone aimlessly for like 45 minutes. So somewhere early in the 3 o'clock hour. I really think I used my time and energy well.
It's funny, even like a 3-minute sportscast can just kind of keep you up for like a couple more hours. So I can't imagine what a 3-hour post game or whatever it was could keep Josh up.
But Josh then came in at 10 o'clock and slept.
Did he?
It's perfect for him.
Look, man, a Friday after a game, I knew I wasn't going to have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting, so I just, caught a couple of Z's in the chair over there, and nobody knew that anything was awry.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody was
I can't believe
wiser.
Matt got here for that segment. That was
No kidding.
That was an
I thought
achievement.
that was going to be a phoner with Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a phoner with Matt. He said he went to sleep at like 2:45.
Instead, I phoned it in.
I got there just fine, right?
That's exactly right. Make a
you got there at
Everybody was living
12:30.
next to
I was on the air till like 11:45.
That must have been really hard.
And then recorded stuff till midnight. Tore stuff down for 30 or 45 minutes. Went back to the station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he does, man. We will take a timeout. We'll come back. We're hanging out at T-Mobile Center. It is Big 12 Media Days with basketball, and we will talk with Bill Self coming up around 1 o'clock. So a quick timeout. Come back. Moves on next. All right, wrapping up this hour, hanging out at T-Mobile Center. We will talk with Bill Self coming up on the other side of the break.
Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we're back right here on Sports T-Mobile Center, and our coverage is presented by QC Kinetics. You know what? Get rid of nagging joint pain without drugs and without surgery. Now there's a better way. Natural biologic treatments from QC Kinetics. Learn more about regenerative solutions. Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299, 816-412-6299. Hi, Mick.
Hi again.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. Allow myself to introduce my.
Listen, I'm sorry it's still me, but I'm on my toes here, ready to move as soon as Bill Self gets over here. Or if he wants, he can sit on my lap.
I think it would be better if you sat on your lap and you just held the microphone close to his mouth from
We
your
shared
headset.
it, yeah.
But you can't breathe because I don't want to hear
Like
the
we're
breathing.
singing
in the
a
background.
duet. Like we're singing Shallows. Right?
In the shell.
Yes.
Shell.
I bet he knows it.
Is he Gaga or what role are you playing?
He's definitely the male.
Okay, he's got that
that
deeper
relationship.
voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Although, I mean, I can't sing, so if he can carry a tune, Gaga is the better singer there.
Right.
In that,
Yeah,
tournament.
absolutely.
We'll work.
You know?
We'll work it out. We'll write down some pros and cons and figure out who's gonna
this
do
together.
what. I'm going to a Halloween party in a couple of weekends. It's dress like your spouse is the
Really?
theme. So yeah.
Man, your wife's gonna look like an idiot.
I was waiting for a joke somewhere.
No, there is
I was
obviously-
sitting out
yeah,
waiting for Mick, but Josh went ahead and took the baton and ran with it. Thank you.
I like
Josh.
that you
was
can't
great.
see me. It gives me a chance to really cannonball in and just snipe one real quick.
Well,
Good.
yeah, she was mad that I ordered a witch costume.
I was waiting for it. It's got to be a joke coming up here. I was dressed. I'm going to go dressed as a terrible wife. That's. A beautiful lady. A very beautiful lady. I'm going to go dressed as somebody who doesn't clean well enough. That's what I'm going to go dressed as. No, that's a really cool idea. Yeah, really cool idea. So you don't have to go out and buy.
It's an easy one, right?
You don't have
Just
to go out and buy a
switch
costume.
sides of the closet.
That's right.
That's all you had to do.
That's right. Yeah. So are you thinking about what you're? Is it going to be a dress? Is
She's
it going to
got
be a nice
so many. Oh, she's
suit
a
jacket?
teacher, right? She's got so many teacher sweat shirts, right, with pencils and blocks and books and stuff on them.
It's so weak. You're going to wear a sweatshirt.
And then a plaid skirt, which I will absolutely pull off. Not literally pull off, but I will make it work. And then she wears the teacher kind of horn-rimmed glasses, and
that's great.
Yeah, I'll bring a taser like she does in school, and we'll be good. Yeah.
Don't tase me, bro.
Big old paddle.
So what's she gonna wear? Shirt and tie.
A suit. Yeah, I'll bring one of my earpieces, my IFB. She can wear that.
Walk around with an IFB.
A lot of makeup, actually.
Lots of makeup, actually.
She has to walk around, and everything she reads has to be like on a piece of paper.
So we'll put some credentials around.
Yeah.
I'll put some credentials around
Anytime
her neck.
she talks, it has to be written out for her.
Yes.
So what are you guys doing tomorrow? Well, we are. Welcome back. We are actually going to go to Home Depot tomorrow. Looks like a nice little lovely Saturday that we've got planned for us.
No, I'm looking forward to that. But reminded me of a Halloween party that's coming up. It's been a cool. I love Big 12 Media Days. I love that it's here. They do a cool. All these little spots out there. You take pictures, right? Yeah, you were talking about the guys going in there.
So anytime you see the videos to where the guys are like acting like they're shooting, and then they look in the camera, they're doing like their celebration thing, like a pump up type deal. So I was walking to do some things, and I walked by this,
pee.
And they had I got a lot of water going on. There was they had this this background that just says Big 12, right?
Yeah.
And it was the Texas players at the time, and so it's crazy because it's totally quiet. And you've got cameras, and you got people that are, taking pictures, and other people that are sort of running the whole thing. So this guy shoots off camera, and his other Texas teammate catches it. But as he does that, then he starts looking at the camera, sort of celebrating 3 to the dome. He does the ice in the veins, looking at the camera, and everybody's just standing there looking at him. Well, he does this. There's no sound coming anywhere. It's odd. And
They're great actors.
Yeah,
I mean,
at least from this person, it did look like it was taking them a little bit to get into character because it didn't look like there was much energy there to where if that's in the middle of a game or something that happens, probably won't match the energy maybe in the building from what I saw.
we were talking earlier off air of the different layers of three-point celebrations we've seen over the last 20 years. But it's been the goggles before, it's been the antennas where you've been shooting arrows.
3 to the dome.
3 to the dome. You inject this into my veins.
Reloading the arm.
Oh, is that it?
There was one where you shoot it, make it, you come back and reload the arm.
What would your guys' three-point celebration be as you're jogging back down court to play defense? What would it be?
In high school, mine was great shot. Good shot. Nice job. Nice job. Come on, guys. Let's get a stop here. We need a stop.
In high school, mine was, what's a three-pointer? They haven't allowed it in high school yet. No, I played.
You played. Mine was really just sort of like,
back in the day, you didn't do that.
Yeah, it was expected
in
to go
Caldwell,
in.
Kansas, absolutely. You act like you've been there, done
mine
it
was
before.
just expected to go in.
You get teed up.
Yeah, I almost got into a fight after a game because we were in transition, and I caught the ball on the wing, and a guy was coming out to close out, and I shot it, and I looked at him and I said, "Don't jump." And it went in. And then it was 10 minutes later at the free throw line, and the guy's standing next to me goes, "Don't worry, we'll see you after the game." I was like,
yeah.
Well, actually, I got to leave before the game, so that's crazy. Are we going to go to like a party or something? Am I invited?
Don't jump on this free throw either, buddy. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
No, I'm not
illegal.
going. No, he's definitely going to box me out. It was a free throw. It had to do with physical contact. I'm out. It's defense and trying to box out for rebounds. I'm not there. I'm fading to the wing in a break, and I'll stand out there. You drive and kick it. All right. That's what we're going to do here.
So they finally put there's this website, our YouTube page, our high school has that puts old games up, and so they've got from my area, got some old basketball games, and we had some state games where we got to play at Bramlage Coliseum at K-State, and we played them the other day. My son was watching, and I'm at the free throw line, and my son's like, "What is going on here?" Because there's 8 guys looking to rebound it.
Every spot is filled.
Every spot is filled, and it's below the block, right?
Yeah.
It's just a
Right.
brawl every free throw.
Yeah, you're jumping straight up from the side when you were below the block.
And my brother and I were complaining. It's like you would get out rebounded and you get yelled at, and we're like, our position is right below the rim. Okay,
Yeah.
Any normal rebound is going to go behind our heads. Okay,
How am I supposed to box
You've
out?
got to box it. You've got to shove a guy back about 5 feet to get a proper position, and then. But my son was like, why was the other team allowed all 5 of their guys on there? I'm like, well, if you have all 5 of your guys, there'll be a guy back there cherry picking for them the other way. So that's how it was done.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't like really watching games in person because I don't really like the commentary that goes on. So again, I like to watch games sort of in silence.
Sure,
watching. But the cry from fans at home towards their own players has to be the most used is box out.
Box out every time. It doesn't
Box
matter where.
out.
That it was a 25-foot shot that rebounded like 10 feet off the rim.
You realize your team was on offense, right? That was called a defensive rebound by the other team. So,
they say it that way. Yeah.
I mean, it was just all the time. It was, come on, box out. Come on. You got to box out on that one. Come on. Box out.
Box out.
You got to box out. How do you not box out? Come on, box out. Just box out. It's crazy, man. Josh, what'd they yell for you when you were on the court?
Mostly, who let him in here? He doesn't go here.
Get off the court.
I would run, I would grab a ball off the rack, and then I would just shoot one, and then I would turn around like Nick Young and begin celebrating before I even saw it, just completely fall 3 feet short of the rim, and then I would just go ahead and run all the way back down the tunnel to security.
They would yell, when you went on the court, they would yell, Josh, lunch.
Yep.
Come on in.
Yep, that's what it would be. I'd hear the bell, and then that would. A lot of basketball teams had buzzards. I had a bell.
The triangle.
Did your mom have a triangle or a cowbell or what?
Yeah, no, that was the only triangle that my basketball team could run because we didn't have enough players to.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
That is great. I didn't know if she had like a whistle like Andy Reid. Like I really wish I could whistle like that, to where it just.
My mom does, actually.
Being able to do that.
My mom
No
actually
kidding.
has an eardrum challenging, shrilling kind of whistle. But she never called me though. She never wanted me back in. I knew Mick was loading, so I decided if I kept talking, maybe the crosstalk would keep people from hearing it.
Who does she? Mick? Who does she typically?
Is Bill Self there or what?
Whistle.
Where's
Whistle
Bill
at.
Self?
Thank God.
This is a great one. Said my favorite thing my buddy always cries about: over the back.
Over the back.
Get him off his back, sir.
Over the back.
Come on, over the
Well,
back.
and every referee will tell you, and rightly so, that's not a foul call. Over the back is not a foul. It's got to be a push as you're reaching over the back. You have to make contact there. Going over the back is not a foul call.
We had a big lugging fraternity.
Just so freaking brilliant.
I saw a cartoon of current Big 12 schools in a rescue boat.
Yeah.
And then the Titanic sinking in the background, and the Utah football players saying, "Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm here," or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
he starts complaining.
That's absolutely how it sounds.
Yeah.
It's absolutely like, oh, why don't you have it? This is so stupid. Nobody wants to go there for the. And then the sort of back-to-back commentary of, it should be in Vegas. It's dumb to have it in a state that doesn't even have a team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Well, which one? Which one? Because pretty sure
Yeah.
UNLV and Nevada and Reno aren't in the Big 12.
It's the best basketball tournament, conference tournament in America.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's no need to mess with it. And look,
it's
I
amazing.
get it. Vegas is great. They have a
Yeah.
lot more things
Absolutely.
than Kansas City.
Yeah, yeah.
But when it comes to a tournament, that you have that atmosphere, and then you have the atmosphere right next door, and you can stay right next door, and it is all right there. Vegas cannot provide that for you. For the venue, whatever venue they played in over there.
T-Mobile Arena, actually.
Yeah, I know it's the arena there, right? We got the center.
Which is what Brett Yormark said, is we're very excited to get
he
this
said
thing done
arena? No.
in Kansas City till 2031 and keep this relationship going, playing in T-Mobile Arena.
Freudian
hold on.
slip.
Hold on. Which is it? Are you
Yes.
you letting us know what's happening in 2032? Like, what's the deal here? Yeah, it's great. And again, I know that one of my things that I'm very self-aware is that when,
Arizona knows UCF is in the league, right? And West Virginia is in the league, and Cincinnati. Okay.
Yeah. I get very annoyed at any time that the area gets talked down.
Absolutely. Well, especially by people who admitted they haven't been there.
Yeah.
One guy did like an average of the longitudes and the latitudes of all the Big 12 schools where they will be, and the exact kind of geodactic center of the Big 12, and it's Pawhuska, Oklahoma, would be where, if they want to have it the exact middle of the footprint.
Oklahoma City.
It's right next to my dad's hometown of Ponca City, Oklahoma. There's not much in Pawhuska. I think I've driven through there, but I bet they can scrap together a gym and we can do it there.
That would be awesome.
Let's go.
And then everybody would measure the free throw and
Absolutely.
See, it's 10 feet here.
It'd be
too,
the
guys.
opposite of like. No, I know you're thinking this is way smaller than the gyms you play back home, right? In Lawrence, and in Tempe, but it's
rim
actually
is
the same size.
I know that the depth perception is different, but this rim is 10 feet.
Actually, I guarantee you the length of the court is smaller. The width is smaller too. Yeah,
no doubt. It is.
All right, when you're shooting the corner three, okay, if you're size 12 or above, you're not going to be able to put your entire foot down. Okay,
It's not
so
gonna
tiptoes over there in the corner.
It's not going to happen. Look, Oklahoma City was fine. I mean, I've covered a Big 12 tournament in Oklahoma City. I thought it was fine. But it just Dallas was terrible.
I did it in Dallas, and nobody knew it was there.
I did it in Dallas, and I also covered the tournament there. And also, nobody knew I was there when I was doing
Right,
it.
yeah.
Dallas. Nobody knew I was there, but it's just, again,
Debbie was there.
I get very emotional, very quick about that. It's like, and then if you don't like it, you can go to a basketball tournament in Vegas all you want. I'm sure the Big 12 could reach out to Oregon State or Washington State, see if they'd like to compete.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to play in this tournament?
If that's a deal breaker, then there's other options, really.
Yeah, there was even a guy on Twitter I retweeted just because, the hilarity of it. It was an Oregon State fan, and he went like, Kansas City ? Ugh. So I @tweeted or quote tweeted him. I said, I got good news for you.
You don't have to come.
Don't worry. It turns out you're good. So yeah, that's I don't know. Just those comments yesterday. Love it that it's going to be here at T-Mobile Center. And it's going to be in Kansas City where it needs to be for
T-Mobile Center
a very long time. Yes, it is an arena, but it's the center.
Mm-hmm.
It's the center of the Big 12. Is what I think.
And there's an American Airlines Center and American Airlines Arena too, right? One's in
Arena
Dallas.
is in Miami, and center is in Dallas.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Miami's not American Airlines.
American Airlines Center, still Dallas.
Yeah. Check the where the Heat play. Is that American Airlines? down there.
Oh, yeah,
They got a great nightclub down there.
Kasaya Center,
Been there.
Kasea.
KAS.
That's new.
Cassia?
Yeah,
Cassia Center?
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
figure it out.
The nightclub is great. It's where
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
we went
right.
there for the Super Bowl. We were down there for the Super Bowl and got a hookup with St. John, and we were there and went to the game, and then we went to the nightclub in there. We saw Alonzo Mourning. That's when I saw Aaron Donald that I thought, that guy looks familiar, but he's really ripped. He's not all that big, but he just looks like.
I wonder if maybe I told him he looks like Aaron
Oh, my
Donald.
God. Oh, my God. That's Aaron Donald. Hold on. That's a defensive tackle today. That's the best defensive tackle in the NFL right there.
Is there a sports venue in Miami that doesn't have a nightclub inside of it? Because Hard Rock Arena or Hard Rock Stadium has one.
There is a high school gym that does not have a nightclub, but most of them do.
It's coming, though. There's a bond issue out.
Yes.
They got some different things. It's on the books.
It's on the books. It's coming.
Yeah, they're going to get there.
The other school in the district already has one, so if
Yeah.
one school get one, the other has to get it.
Cassia is a software company for IT and security management for IT professionals.
I was going to guess that exact thing. It's always sort of software company.
Always is that. So we probably need to break because then we're going to hear from Bill Self. He's doing one more interview, and then we expect him to come over here. He's running a little behind, but that's what happens when you're the number one team in America, right? I mean, you got
Hey, you know what? This little behind's going to move, okay, once he gets over here.
all over it. I wouldn't mind if you're a little behind, stayed there. And there was a little behind, I'm behind. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We continue hanging out here at T-Mobile Center. It is the Big 12 Basketball Media Days. More Zone right after this. I'm not going to say anything really loud, but I haven't had lunch yet. I've been doing this show, and apparently they served lunch to some of the media members and stuff. I'm not really sure, but I know this. If I was at home, I'd be eating some guaranteed foods. Guaranteed. I reckon back here in the zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, hanging out here at Big 12 Media Day, T-Mobile Center. Bill Self with us. Bill, how are you?
I'm good, Jason.
That's Mick Schaefer. That ain't Bill Self. My God.
I grew up 2 miles from Oklahoma, right? I can dig deep, get a little bit of a red dirt accent.
That's Mick.
That's Mick.
It's not.
You're the impressions guy.
I'll be there soon. Hopefully.
You really played the joke on me because I was trying to communicate with Dylan while you guys were out there, and Dylan had kind of described the bit of a holding pattern situation, and we came back, and you got straight into it. I was like, all right, hey, cool. He must have sat down. Well, I hope his mic's on because nobody said anything yet, but it's Mick again.
So,
wah, wah.
You know, Mick, you're not the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, but you are a little selfish.
I am. Thank you. Selfish.
There
Yes.
you go. Nice.
Thanks.
I love that. That was very good.
I've known Bill Self longer than anybody around here.
I was going to say, I bet his parents have known him longer than you.
Around here.
Okay.
He was the camp counselor at Oklahoma State basketball camps under Eddie Sutton, like most of the 90s.
Did he have a connection to that school?
He did. He played there. Yeah, that was probably the only connection really he had. Yeah, that he went there.
Interesting.
There was no other connection beyond that.
Then why wouldn't he have gone home when the opening was there?
We're just not as good, Jason, as the team he was at.
You don't want to be out for an entire postseason. You don't want to do that.
That was it. That's it.
Go be at a spot.
He's
that the
won.
NCAA's
He's one title away from going home.
The NCAA is so mad at KU, they're going to take Oklahoma State out for an entire postseason. They're so mad. They're going to get Bill Self somehow.
Yeah,
and it's Oklahoma
they're
State.
going to get Illinois and ORU and Tulsa and every other program.
Yeah, we're going right after you, Bill. And once you leave Kansas, they are screwed. I almost said the F word, but they are screwed.
Whoa, good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was just in character there. I really went full on character there.
NCAA.
That's I went full on NCAA character. That's right. No, he is. We thought we were going to get him after Coaches versus Cancer.
I've seen him walk back and forth 3 times.
Yeah, you would think that maybe the scheduling would be better. That maybe just do whatever the things are over there. So he's been walking down, the bowels of the T-Mobile Center. So he walks by and does something over there. Then he walks by the other way. It's like, he's got a couple more things of it. Then he walks by the other way. I was like, well, why don't you just do everything over there, then walk by once and then knock that out?
Your steps in.
But we're told he's a couple of things behind.
Sure.
So he's a popular individual, man. He's the face and the voice of college basketball now.
He is. You would think hardball shock jock journalist Todd Lebo would say enough and just grab him by the elbow, by the arm, clinched, walk him over here.
You'd think childhood friend Mick Schaefer might be able to get him to sit down.
I'm busy carrying this show, Josh, okay? I'm tethered. I'm tied down.
You missed the break there, Josh. And the entire break while we were waiting for Bill Self, Mick Schaefer had a conversation with
crazy, right?
one of the radio people here that's from Oklahoma City. Or no, out of Stillwater.
Yeah.
And so
he heard me say Pawhuska and Ponca City.
No way.
Shocking. They didn't talk Oklahoma State one time. It was all about high school football, and the guy does high school football for a team that Mick Schaefer's cousin plays on.
Yeah.
That's in high school.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then they just started talking about Paluca,
Ponca City.
Ponca City, that's what it was. Pawhuska and Ponca City.
That's what Aaron Rodgers did this offseason, right? Pawhuska?
That's it. That was the darkness retreat.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He was rocking some of the Ponca when he was there in the darkness. So yeah, that was my break, waiting for Bill Self, listening to them talk about high school football in a town of 10.
Well, literally hours ago, last night at like 1 a.m. before I went to bed, I was on NFHS bouncing around. I'm going to check out Ponca City since I have relative on that team, how they're doing it. So I watched one of their games, and it turns out the guy sitting right behind me, he did play-by-play of the game. And so
small world.
Small world.
Small world.
Actually, it's not a small world, which
Oh.
makes all these instances seem wild. If it was
Yeah.
a small world, we'd be like, okay, yeah, this happens all the time. So it's a big world, and occasionally these things happen.
Like in Ponca City, you see people all the time. It's like, oh, I saw that person yesterday. What a small world. Well, there's 10 of you.
It's a small town.
So
If it was a small world, it wouldn't be such a big deal that Bill Self
Punk
has to
City's
walk
got,
all
like-
the way from one side to the other side of it here.
Yeah, that's true. Punk City's got 20,000 people or something like that, okay?
You got 20 people?
20,000.
Oh, I missed the 1,000 part. Sorry about that. All right, so we don't know if we're going to get Bill Self, but let's actually get into one of the things that we were going to talk about this hour.
Okay.
So we danced in the first segment, expecting Bill Self, but we'll see if we get Bill Self today. If we don't, we're going to try to have him on the station in some capacity.
The IRP that did something? I don't know. You can look into it.
I think first name was Wyatt Iron.
Wyatt IRP got involved?
It's for older individuals. It's AARP. So I didn't think he was there
It
yet.
lasted that long. A lot of us, became old during the investigation.
That's right. Yeah, it's just.
It's now gone away. It was invented just for KU.
Yeah. One thing I know that Soren loves, so I've got a lot of talk about questions.
Does he hey, talk about
your team coming up this
which
year.
is not
Bill.
a question. It's talk about statements.
Yeah,
really.
that's just being demanding.
Talk about your team. That could be a question.
That's Nate Taylor. Talk about your team. Talk about your team.
Do they have a new player on this team named like Frank Caliendo or something, so you can reuse your Tyler Perry joke from earlier?
I wish. Oh, you missed my Tyler Perry joke.
Oh, yeah.
So did Jerome
So
Ting.
did he.
But
so did I. So did Dylan. So did most people.
everybody.
Yeah. So what? Tyler Perry is one of the biggest,
Yes.
transfers.
This is Tyler Perry.
Tyler, that's right. That's exactly right. But still pronounced Tyler. From North Texas. The odd sort of connection is that Grant McCaslin, who's the new Texas Tech coach, was his coach last year at North Texas. So now Tyler Perry is
I
at
got
K-State.
to learn some of these new coaches' names.
Yeah, you
Wes
do.
Miller, okay, is that Cincinnati?
Yep.
I know that now.
Eilert at West Virginia.
Yeah,
now?
that sounds
Eilert.
right.
So Jerome Ting was sitting here, and we had our conversation and everything, and it was great. And then I was like, okay, before I let you go, let's actually talk about your team. And I said, you got some transfers coming in here, and Tyler Perry, and I'm assuming he'll play a lot of different roles for you. Is there and I sort of paused.
That's pretty in the weeds
Pause,
because he might
pause,
actually.
Pause for laughter.
Yeah.
And then I
7
sort
seconds of radio silence
then
for
I
laughter.
sort of, and he
Did he
sort
say
of looked,
Big Mama's house or something like that?
and he was sort of looking at me, and then I said, "Well, I'm assuming you'll hear that 1,000 times, that joke about." And then all of a sudden, he just lost it, and he was like,
Oh, he
he was
understood.
like,
Yeah,
okay,
that-
yeah.
that-
And I'm like, "Yeah, nailed it." So let's get into exactly what we're going to talk about. Let's talk college football. Let's play all these clips. Oh wait, here comes Bill Self. Actually, that is true. Bill Self's walking around the corner right now. So Mick, if you can get up and move your bones, we will have Bill Self hanging out with us. No, we kicked Mick out. We told Mick it's not time for him anymore. It's time for Bill Self. So go away, Mick. Bill Self, but does that make Bill Self as our guest here at media? Does that make you feel good that Mick Schaefer moves out of the way so that so Bill Self can sit down and talk?
I think what it means is you guys are sick and tired of Mick Schaefer, and you ask him to leave. So
what can we do? Can we get Bill Self on in the 1 o'clock hour? Typically,
Yeah.
Mick Schaefer's on at 1, but who can we talk to so we don't have to talk to
exactly.
Mick anymore?
Exactly.
let's
And
try
plus,
Bill
we
Self.
got to see him in front of the camera now, covering Chiefs or whatever all the
right,
time.
right.
Good gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement
And they
with you.
and I guess stations feel like that does wonders for ratings. I guess I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah,
how
I
it
don't know. I
works.
lost my voice last
Yeah,
Monday,
yeah.
and I was on the show with him. I'm like, well, Mick, I know what it's like to be you. Be seen, not heard.
Yeah.
Nobody cares what you sound like. Just a pretty face.
Yeah.
That's what he's.
That's an exaggeration.
Debatable.
there, too. Yes.
Bill Self is our guest. How you feeling? I mean, you're back here, and T-Mobile Center and everything. How you feeling?
I feel good. I had a mishap the other day at my age, chasing my grandkids around on the floor of Allen Fieldhouse and going to pick one up while I'm chasing them, and the other one cut it in front of me, and I was going to knock them both over, so I adjusted and basically from hitting them, but I fell and hit the floor. Broke my ribs.
What?
Yeah, broke my ribs. 2 hours before late night, I've got broken ribs. Chasing my kids around, and I have never felt my age as much as I do right now.
Really?
Yeah, oh God, unbelievable.
Have you broken ribs before? I mean, you played sports. I mean, have you had something like that happen in your career?
No, and not at all. But it's just goes to show you the lack of coordination and getting elderly is just a pain in the ass.
Well, considering your history, I guess I'm not looking forward to being that age because I didn't play high-level college basketball, so the coordination would not be on my side then as well.
Yeah.
I pulled my calf muscle running after my daughter like over the summer.
It's so easy to do different things, but I thought I showed unbelievable athletic gracefulness by not falling in.
What maybe you thought the end result would be, but did you have an idea that this would be the conclusion and end results for all of the penalties and everything of a 6-year ordeal?
It's taken a long time to get to a point we thought we would be at 4 years ago.
Yeah,
without question. So, and I'm not going to go into it and this and that because I don't want to create more stories and all that because it's time to move forward. But to not be able to basically say much and then have something that has come out that you said right off the bat that this is what would be the end result, even though there were some self-impositions and things like that. But it's been frustrating for a long time, but certainly so glad to have it behind us.
You seem to be really at peace with the one added penalty, which was the vacating wins and the banner, et cetera. You seem to be at peace.
Isn't that the rule?
Yeah.
See, I mean that's the thing that people don't understand. The story is, well, Kansas, gets nailed or whatever, or 3 years probation. We self-imposed the probation. We did that because when there is something that occurred, you accept for what occurred, and what happened is that we played by the letter of the law, regardless of knowledge or anything else. We played a player that was ineligible because of illicit payment to a guardian. Well, that's the way I look at it is to where we were when we were chasing Kentucky.
Yep.
So yeah, I get that. It's interesting, but it was. It's probably going too far to say that it was the right thing to do, but the reality of it is it's what we expected as a group, because what has historically been the case, if you play someone that is ineligible, you would forfeit that win. You don't forfeit the loss, but you would forfeit the win, and there were 15 times that year in which that occurred.
Yeah. Does the banner physically come down? Do you do that?
I'm going to get up there in the catwalk, and I'm going to go do that. But no, it'll come down. It'll come down. There's a Final Four banner. I don't even know if each year has their own respective banner. Because when we do conference championships, there's like 12 years on each banner. So I don't know exactly.
I love that. 12 on each banner.
Yeah,
the conference championship.
Well, I mean, we won by 65.
I know.
So I don't know exactly how that will do, but it's actually what we expected, and it's what the right thing, in my opinion, to do. So I don't see how we can be disappointed and we can be upset about something that we could feel like, well, it's not the same as what maybe some other people or whatever. But here's the rule: a player plays by NCAA rules that's technically ineligible, then you vacate those wins during that time, and that's what happened by NCAA rule.
Last time we were here in this building wasn't the most pleasant experience for you with the heart procedure and everything.
Last time you were here, I wasn't here.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. Yeah,
I was at KU Med.
How's that impacted you as a coach, father, husband, grandfather, that whole experience?
Yeah, it's I would say eye-opening. I would say chronic stress obviously is what the doctor said was the primary cause for it. So there's some things that I need to reevaluate and handle differently. But I think I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
I hate not being with my team. Not being able to coach in the postseason last year when you're a 1 seed. And the Big 12 tournament is important. I'm not going to minimize that, but it's not near as important as the NCAA tournament, especially when you're a 1 seed. And I mean, we felt like that we had a great opportunity last year, that we were positively 1 win away from being the number 1 overall seed. So not being able to be a part of a team that we felt like that had a legitimate shot to advance deep was certainly frustrating. You feel like you let everybody down, but we'll use that as motivation.
Before that happened, did you have an idea of like, okay, this is going to be the end of my career? Like you're sort of counting down, or it's around the corner, versus now when you're like, I don't, that's not even near my mind.
You know, I think I've realized that I'm about on hole 14 or 15.
Yeah.
For a while now.
Before that, did you think you were on hole 16 or 17 and you've
no,
gone back and played some other holes?
No.
Okay.
I never thought I was that close.
Yeah.
But I was like going, I don't want to do this until I'm 70 or 75, like a lot of coaches do. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just can't see myself doing that. I think when you don't have the energy to do it at a level that you feel like the university and your employer deserves, then it's probably time to do something else. But right now, I don't feel like that's in the game right now for me at all. I feel good, and it's been a frustrating last 6 years, but I mean, we're also preseason number 1 in the country, and
which has its own challenges. Coaching a team.
But to me, that's not a challenge. To me, it's like, would you rather be that or not be that? And I think to a person, they would say, well, you'd rather be that. It makes great recruiting mail out. But after our first loss this year, we won't be that anymore.
Well, that's assuming you have one.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you, I don't know.
Bill Self says they will not go 40-0. Bill Self guarantees a loss.
I don't know that anybody's ever done anything close to that since
15.
Was it 76?
Yeah,
when Indiana, or 75? So I can't see that happening with our schedule that we play.
Bill, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. I know you got
bet.
a lot of other
You
things
bet.
to get into. So
Have a good
thank
one.
you. Absolutely. There's Bill Self joining us, head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. And he's got about 15 other things to do. Todd's been yelling at me for like 10 minutes. So Bill Self sat down, and Todd immediately said break. You know, that was odd, weird. But no, we appreciate Bill Self joining us, and it's been interesting for this team, and now preseason number 1. I get that. I totally understand that part of it. Of like, well, would you rather be number 1 or not? Well, yeah, you'd rather be number 1, but there is that challenge of now, okay, you're number 1. You got to go prove it. You haven't done anything yet, except for some people voted you that spot. What does that mean? Nothing, because they don't hang banners for the preseason number 1. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and we'll wrap the show up as we're hanging out here at T-Mobile Center. It is the Big 12 Basketball Media Days. More Zone next. All right, hanging out here at T-Mobile Center. Our coverage of Big 12 Media Days, it is presented by QC Kinetics. Get rid of nagging joint pain without drugs and without surgery. Now there's a better way. Natural biologic treatments from QC Kinetics. Learn more about regenerative solutions. Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. Wrapping up the coverage here at Big 12 Media Days and finding out that Bill Self is questionable for the start of the season with a rib injury that he is practicing, but we'll see availability come first game of the season.
I'd put him at questionable.
Yeah.
My last ever hoops game ever resulted in broken ribs.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never broken. Where's Wood at? I don't know. Is there
There's
a guy named
nothing
Woody
they can
around
do.
here?
It's just like, they'll heal eventually. In between now and then, they're going to hurt like hell.
Don't breathe.
Like breathing. I remember you felt a sneeze coming on. You're like, oh my God, this is just going to be torture. Here it comes.
For the first time ever,
Even
you're
stopping
like,
it though.
Yeah. For the first time ever, you don't want to sneeze because there's nothing worse than the sneeze is coming on and then it goes
It's
away.
the
Like,
worst. Agreed.
What am I going to do for the next hour? I'm going to be thinking about the fact that I didn't get
stuck
that sneeze.
right down in here, like kind of back here in the
Looking
middle
at
of my
lights.
face.
I'm trying to do a lot of different things.
No, I look at lights all the time too.
What am I? Why can't I sneeze? The worst. So thank you to Bill Self. He broke his ribs playing with his grandkids, which is a typical, as one does. Breaks your ribs. By the way,
on the floor at Allen Fieldhouse,
which is great because now you can use that with your players. You can't dive on the floor. Yeah, I broke my ribs on the floor. Diving on the floor. You can't get down and get dirty, get a floor burn. I got a rib broken. You can't get a floor burn? This is Allen Fieldhouse, man. Come on. Go get that ball.
Hashtag Jared Haas. Floor burns. That was the name of his book.
That's right. Also, a quote rolling around when they were taking the coach's picture. I don't know if you saw this or not, the funny little back and forth with Bill Self and Porter Moser. They were taking a picture, and Porter was standing next to Bill Self. And he said, well, I can't get too close to him. They'll call a foul. And Bill Self goes, only at home.
That's pretty good.
It's great when coaches can enjoy some of the conversations and things that we joke about.
Engage in the same banter that fans do, right?
That's right. Only at home.
I mean, a lot of times we think, okay, they're operating at such a higher level than all us menial fans and all the gripes that we have. No, they hear it, they know it, and they maybe have the same gripes.
And if you've got a good relationship, then Porter Moser will be like, they're going to call a foul if I get near him, and then Bill Self doesn't take offense. Well, only at home.
Only at home.
We're going to get the calls at home.
And Porter should have said, well, this is your home. This building's your home.
Yeah, that's why we're playing here.
Yes,
Bill,
that's why.
This is your home. It's not to the point to where, like, Mizzou and South Carolina play this weekend, and there's still a question about who Shane Beamer was talking about when he said he wants to fight an SEC coach. I don't know. It was back in March, so people may not remember it.
I don't.
It was back in March or April. He was on the one of the Barstool Bussin' with
that
the Boys.
That guy's good for any sort of quote and controversy. And
yeah, he was on Bussin' with the Boys, and they were talking about sort of relationships. And he was like, "Oh no, there's a coach that I'd like to have a go at." And they're like, "Which? Well, I'm not." He's like, "My wife."
Eli, is he on the short list? We think
people are wondering if it's Eli. They've talked about maybe it's Billy Napier. Is it Josh Heupel? It could be like Nick Saban. Like, who's the coach? People have wondered who it is, but there have been a number of people like, oh, it's Eli. He can't beat Eli, and Eli is so smug, and people don't like him because he's sort of a dork, looks like a dork, and is in his funny his little quotes, and they beat South Carolina, so it'd be annoying.
He's taking their town name too.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's homecoming. They're bringing in the other guys from Columbia for homecoming.
It's a Columbia homecoming. They invented homecoming. Okay. Don't schedule them on your homecoming, Kentucky.
Right.
They invented homecoming. They're going to take your homecoming and then go home with it.
Yes.
That's what they ended up doing. But yeah, so that's a little different when there's a coach actually
Well, I feel like
admitting
he's going to be the easiest to fight, right, Eli? of all these
Yeah.
big time football players
That's
are now
probably right.
coaching, right? They
Probably
think they
right.
can take Eli the easiest.
Yeah, I'm not fighting like Robert Saleh,
Sure.
with the Jets.
No.
I know he's not
Good
an
call.
SEC coach, but that's not somebody that I'm going to go and fight.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting Dan Campbell
Oh, no, he's
anytime
gonna
soon.
Eat my kneecaps. I
Anytime
like my
soon.
kneecaps.
That guy did like 50 up downs, right? Like 2 minutes.
That's exactly right. Who am I taking? What coach am I? There's so many young coaches now. That's the problem.
Eli might head the
Eli might
list.
be,
I just
yeah.
he needs somebody really small in stature.
Yeah, that's
who
right.
didn't play.
Yeah.
Major college football.
Right, I don't know.
There's anybody.
There's got to be a coach there that's like, that's who I'm going after. That's who I'm taking out. I don't know. Mick, it's not you. I know.
No,
that. I wouldn't fight you. I wouldn't fight you.
You'd win.
I don't know about that. Mick Schaefer, that wraps it up on this Wednesday edition here at Big 12 Media Days. The program coming up next.